It's time for Friday Night Live. If this is your first time joining us live, you can drop a 1 in the chat. It's good to already see where everyone's coming in from. I was just doing my last minute, get ready and make sure my hair wasn't super crazy. And I could start seeing everybody in the chat saying hello. It's so good to see you. I totally forgot to text the text crew. So- Sorry, text crew. I'm going to do that right now. I've lived 7 weeks today, and I know you know what that's like. And so tonight we are covering a bunch of topics. I have to hop on a plane early, and so I'm a little discombobulated. It's not that I hate traveling, it's that traveling right now is complicated, and I hate packing with an ultimate and unyielding passion. And so I procrastinate it. And then I'm like, I have to. So that's what I'll be doing after our stream this evening. I will be packing and then leaving very early. It's starting to snow. My kid is sick. It's just it has been. But tonight we are doing a weekly roundup, and then we are talking about Hayley Paige and Erika Girardi. It's kind of like a ladies' night for our main topics in two different ways, because these cases are interesting. The Hayley Paige reporting has been sketch. It's not been accurate, and the Enneagram 1 in me is like, but that's not what that said. But actually, that's not what the appellate court said. And then we have to talk about Erika Girardi's earrings, right? We just do. There's so much tea there, and we're going to go through the legal documents and talk about it and talk about what's coming next. So those are the weekly roundup main topics. That's what we're doing. I'm going to roll the intro, say hello to all of you. I'm just rocking water tonight because we got to hydrate before we travel. And I'm gonna go text the text crew while we're rolling that intro. So if you're not in the text crew, textemily.com will get you there, and you will get notified when I go live, normally before I go live, but sometimes contemporaneous with when I'm going live. So I'm gonna go do that. Hey there. If we haven't met yet, I'm Emily D. Baker, the badass lawyer and everyone's favorite legal commentator. I'm the host of The Emily Show, and I break down the legal shit behind the news and pop culture stories we all want to talk about. I have been a licensed attorney for over 15 years, but this is not legal advice. I should warn you, I'm a big fan of the cursey words. This channel is where the law nerds unite to talk about facts, not fuckery. Yeah, I totally didn't finish sending that out. I thought I would be able to, and I didn't. But if you want to share out these topics with anyone you know that wants to follow along, go ahead and shoot it out on Twitter or the interwebs, wherever, because we are close to binging. Hopefully we'll bing live tonight. If you are not subscribed, you should do that, because if you like the content, it in theory will help you get notified, and it helps grow the channel. And when we grow the channel, then we can have advertisers, then we don't have to worry about monetization, and we can just bring the facts, not the fuckery. And yeah, I'm telling the text crew right now, I'm so sorry for being late to text. Emily, is it you running the text crew? Yeah, it always is. Anyway, it's so good to see you here. This week's been weird. I shot out a Instagram reel, and then I put it up on TikTok too, about the Erika Girardi case, and it blew up on TikTok. So I started seeing law nerds being like, Emily's in my For You page. I'm like, I just put the things on TikTok just in case people want to see them there. I never expect anything to happen over on TikTok. And then it was 300,000 views. I was like, what is happening on TikTok? So if any of you have just found me from TikTok, just go ahead and chat it in the stream and be like, no, I want to hear more about this. I saw you on TikTok. I'm not normally on the TikTok, the ticky to the talkie. I'm not normally there, but yeah. So I did it. Amy is like, I just got the text group. Yeah, I just sent it. so that's why you just got it. Look, we're professionals here, people. When it's hectic, and I have had a lot going on, and that is all on me. It's just, I've been hectic, and that's the way it is. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna just we're gonna fluff our aura. Because what else can we do? You guys, it's been such a crazy week. I hope you have had a good week. I have had an insane week. It's just, I don't know. It's just been an insane week. And it's part of it is because the travel is, uh, it was not scheduled well in advance. It was unpredictable travel. So that always kind of throws me off a little when it's like, oh no, I can make that work. I can jump on a plane in a week. I can do that. But also, I deeply hate packing and I get anxious about travel. I've always gotten kind of anxious about travel. Let's be honest. I would be like, no, it's all because of the panini. It's not though. It's me. I just get nervous about travel. I do. I get anxious about travel. I'm sure I need to start working on that in therapy. I think this has something to do with my childhood. Travel makes me anxious. I get very and I hate it. I hate getting anxious about travel, but I've got some exciting stuff coming up and a family a dear and darling friend's father passed away. So I'm going for a funeral and then I am going to do some work. Tigo, it's so good to see you. I can't believe we're not going to be in the same city at the same time, even though I'm coming to your city. I'm so bummed. Can we talk about the Britney deposition request? Yes, we can talk about it during Q&A. I'll just have text it in the private chat to remind me. But yeah, we can talk about it during Q&A. I haven't pulled the documents yet, but I'll go grab them when we get to Q&A. Thank you, Ashley Vincent, for the catnip tip. We should just get into our topics. For those of you that are new here, I didn't even get to see the ones because I was busy trying to like get my whole streaming life together. Like literally trying to like collect myself and get my streaming life together. But for those of you that are new, hello. So we're going to do kind of the weekly roundup, which are quicker topics, and then we're going to dive more into the legal documents of our newer topics for tonight, or not our newer topics, I guess our main events for tonight. The main event. I don't know. In another life, I'm Bruce Buffer in my head. He has such a great voice. I guess I could still do that. It could still happen. I could still be an announcer of things. I don't know what things. It would definitely not be UFC things, but I could announce things. Hello, let's announce things. No. It would be like that's exactly what it would be like. So let's get into the weekly roundup. Thank you guys for the condolences. It's a weird age having kids that are still kind of young and parents that are getting older. It's a weird age. And I am, you know what? I'm happy that I can hop on hop onto a plane and go be there for my friend. I'm really really thankful that I'm able to do that and I have the ability to do that and I have the family support here at home to do that and it means a lot to me to be able to show up for my friends. It's not always easy, but it is nice. It is nice to do. So, anyway, Amy said, went down a rabbit hole this week and saw that 80s, 90s actress Stacey Keenan, Anastasia Sarko, I know how to pronounce her name, and I still just can't. Sargosky is with the LADA. We never worked at the same courthouse at the same time, but I did know that. So we should just jump into our weekly roundup, and I will collect myself from being like a wild. Oh, I got my nails done this week. That was like my chill point this week was getting some like nails, and I was like, oh, it's almost Valentine's Day. I should. Why has January gone so fast? I feel like I hopped on a treadmill sometime in November and it keeps like the button keeps getting pushed faster and I keep running and it's not stopping, which again will be a nice thing when I travel because it forces me to slow down in some parts of not just the content I create, but of my life. Like travel does force a little bit of slowness for me. Also some early mornings. All right. Weekly roundup. I keep saying, but weekly roundup. But thank you guys for condolences. I just appreciate it. I at some point it's like there's been so much loss over the last 2 years. I don't want to, it's just hard. It's just hard. And I don't think it ever gets, I don't know. I don't think loss ever gets easier, right? It's something that has been too present in my life and I'm acutely aware of that. And yeah, I try. try to deal. But I am very excited to see my group of friends that we have been friends, some of us since we were in like AYSO soccer when we were 7, and some of us since elementary school, and some of us since junior high school, but all of us since at least junior high school, which was like over 30 years ago. I started junior high. When did I start junior high? Like 19, like, no, like 1990. Yeah. So yeah. Wow. Okay. But yes, so we've all been friends since, the latest 7th grade, the earliest 7 years old. And so it's always nice to be able to still have those connections and go and see go and see all the girls. It's the first time we will all be in one place in quite a while. We've been, some of us have been together for concerts and some of us have been here and some of us have been there, but as an entire group, it's been a while. So it'll be nice to be able to just be there and not in group texts. So, all right. And you guys are saying, plus I get to see Adam. I do get to see Up and Adam. I get to see Up and Adam and Zach Peter, and they are making me get out of my old lady bubble. So I will be sharing that on social media. If you want to see the adventures that will happen, I will be sharing that on social media at the Emily D. Baker on the Instagrams. That's where I share that kind of behind the scenes stuff. Twitter tends to be updates and you guys sharing stories with me sharing stories with you. Instagram tends to be my life stuff, thoughts, behind the scenes, that kind of stuff. This is obviously my main platform for content. And then TikTok gets it, well, I hate to say it gets sometimes Instagram's sloppy seconds, but that's what happens. Let's be honest, I am not a TikToker. We get the updates over there. All right, now that I've made myself feel very old, and those of you in the chat are like, well, I wasn't even born yet. I wasn't born yet. A gamer mom, I am about the same age as you. I am in my 40s. I'm in my 40s. Like, we're in our 40 until we're in like 50. It's fine. So let's do our weekly roundup. We need to, Emily, stop talking. Let's just round it up. It's time for a weekly roundup. Some of these are going to be involving criminal cases, so I try to like bring the energy down for the solemnity that it is needed and appropriate and required. But sometimes it's hard when I'm also kind of amped, like when I was completely flustered on Tuesday. If you weren't here and you don't know what you don't know, it's a lot. Things happened. Mercury retrograde came for my stream, came for me, and all the things happened. I timestamped it all so you can appreciate the yeeting or not. But in that, I was a bit flustered going into our quick bits on Tuesday. I was like, so we're going to try to unfluster ourselves tonight. With that, we're going to talk about Cardi B twice tonight. First, Cardi B has been thanked by the family of Lauren Smith Fields, the young woman that we talked about on Tuesday who passed under suspicious, well, I think suspicious circumstances. So I'm going to go with suspicious circumstances. That is my aspersion on it. That is my viewpoint on it. The coroner's report said that it was an accidental death, but a criminal investigation has been opened, which is, I think, important. The family thanked Cardi B for bringing attention to this story to start getting a criminal investigation moving. And I think that is a powerful use of social media. When we look at the way social media can be used, and we look at this week's podcast episode with Alec Baldwin, like sicking a mob on somebody essentially, and whether that is something that he can be civilly responsible for is a different story, but it's a negative way social media can be used, I think. But there's putting a individual on blast, and then there are putting structures and systems of power on blast. And so while I don't think blasting a young woman that lives in Wyoming is necessarily a good use of a power imbalance, I have no problem with putting on blast a police department that didn't even notify a family that a 23-year-old woman had passed. So for Cardi B to say, hey, can somebody please look into this? This all seems sus, and it seems like her family didn't get any dignity. And then to get movement from that, I think is an incredible use of social media. And I think it's very powerful. And I'm glad to see that the investigation into her death is now a criminal investigation. And that is a powerful thing. So with that, we can talk about people using, using their power for good or using their power for evil, to make all of the analogies to like superhero movies, but it's using their power for good, and I think that that's really important. So this is coming from the Washington Post. Um and this is the look, when we talked about this on Tuesday, no one was talking, well, that's not true, not no one. Very few media outlets were talking about the fact that her family was not notified. And that, to me, all of it's suspicious, but that's just horrific and dehumanizing, and it inexcusable to me. It's just absolutely unacceptable. And now we're starting to see reports of that in more media reporting, which, when people look at this and are like, why is her family so frustrated? This is part of why. There wasn't an investigation, and they didn't even tell her family that she had passed. It's just, I'm running out of words to say it's bullshit in a nicer way, but no need to say it nicer. It's bullshit. We can just call it what it is. Lauren Smithfields died an accidental overdose on a Bumble date, police say. Her family disputes that. Lauren Smithfields was dead for almost 48 hours before her family found out. When her mother and brother showed up at her apartment in Bridgeport, Connecticut to check on her last month, they noticed a note on the door that said, "If you're looking for Lauren, call this number." A detective who answered their call informed them that the 23-year-old had died on December 12th. In the last reporting I saw, it was the reports had said that the landlord told them, this is the first I'm hearing that it was like a phone number left on the door, like, call this, but just horrific. On the morning of her death, Smithfield, who is Black, had been with a white man she had met on the dating app Bumble, investigators say. A police report says her date called 911 when he woke up in her bed and found her unresponsive. For the family, the news was followed by weeks of agonizing silence and stonewalling from the Bridgeport Police Department. According to Darnell Cronsland, the attorney, I hope I pronounced that right. There's no N there. I said Cron. It's Crosland. I pronounce things awkwardly all the time. The attorney representing Smithfield's relatives, detectives quickly ruled out the date, the last person to see Smithfields alive, as a suspect without giving the family an explanation. They looked right in her brother's face and said, "Don't go jumping to conclusions. This is a nice man," which is also very odd. There has been lots of speculation online, and I don't know where that speculation will go to, that how do they know he's a nice, how do they know he's a nice guy? Did they determine that by looking at him? Did they just look at him and be like, "Oh, you seem like a nice chap"? Or did somebody know him? And that's where the speculation online is, did he know someone on the force in some way, or was some way connected, when people are like, don't go jumping to conclusions. And I wonder if this family wouldn't have had to jump to conclusions if they had been given notice and told that this would be looked into. Because really, there's no reason to jump to conclusions if you give people the information that they need, like just basic information. The case, which has gained attention in recent weeks through social media, well, just really since last Saturday, Sunday, when Cardi B tweeted it out, is when it started gaining traction. I think there was some traction before that, but I think that Cardi B sending it out kind of opened the doors on this. The case gained attention in recent weeks through social media campaigns and national headlines. Well, the national headlines came from the social media posts. And this, again, is where there's power of social media. And it has renewed criticisms about how law enforcement investigates cases of missing people of color. Crosland has accused police of being racially insensitive to Smithfield's family and said the investigators did not treat her death with the proper scrutiny, because they didn't. And or dignity. The attorney claims that the detective in charge dodged the family's calls and failed to collect forensic evidence from her apartment. Smithfield's family had found a used condom in the bathroom and an unidentified pill on the kitchen counter and bloodstained sheets on the bed, all of which the attorney say the police left behind. Her family shouldn't have to clean up her apartment and start gathering evidence. 2 weeks went by where they didn't collect any evidence. The attorney said in an interview with the Washington Post, adding that the items were retrieved only after the family insisted. On Monday, the state medical examiner's office said that Smithfields died of an accidental overdose of fentanyl combined with prescription medication and alcohol. The next day, as a result of that conclusion, the police announced that it had opened a criminal investigation into the Smithfields death. Yes, because the concoction, or I hate to say concoction, but but that's the word you would use. The grouping of things found in her system are very odd to have together in her system, and they should at least have answers into why she had fentanyl plus others in her system. And we went through that on Tuesday. Let me just go in, and there's a lot of comments. If you haven't looked at Tuesday's video, there's a lot of comments from people who work within hospitals and in the medical field who are like, there's no reason that that grouping of drugs would be together in someone's system outside of a hospital setting. Like, that's a whole lot. And the combination to them seemed suspicious. And so there were enough of those comments that I'm like, yeah, I mean, yes, I understand. So the combination from the coroner was, or the coroner's cause of death was acute intoxication due to combined effects of fentanyl, promethazine, hydrazine, and alcohol. So that is what is going on. I am sad that her family has to fight like this for answers, but glad that it is being heeded finally and that it got the attention needed to bring this up, though it shouldn't take a celebrity asking questions for a family to get an investigation and answers when a young, healthy woman whose family says she does not use recreational drugs. And again, if you use recreational drugs, that's not a dispersion on you, but it makes the circumstances more suspect. So when her family is saying this isn't her, well, then you've got to do the the bare minimum, of investigation, like telling the family that she has passed and looking at leaving the possibility open and following all leads and maybe taking, they say blood-stained sheets. He said a little bit of blood out of her nose, maybe just taking the information. So hopefully we will see more from this and we will have more information. It's really hard to give any more thoughts on this case because there just isn't a lot of reporting yet, but I hope we will continue to see more coming out. So that is our first criminally connected case tonight. Our next criminally connected case tonight is the Brian Laundrie case. The case against him in Wyoming has now been officially closed. And that is something that I have been checking back in on to see. I'm going to just pull up the motion so you can see what the government filed. The government filed their official motion to dismiss. I have had to actually do this once or twice when defendants have passed and we've gotten all their paperwork that proves that it is actually the defendant in this case that is deceased, because you don't continue to criminally prosecute people who are deceased. So this is the motion to dismiss from the AUSA who was dealing with this case. Motion for leave of court to file dismissal of indictment as to defendant Brian Christopher Laundrie with prejudice, meaning it can't be filed again because, of course, it can't be filed again. The United States Attorney for the District of Wyoming moves the court to leave for file dismissal with prejudice of the indictment of defendant Brian Christopher Laundrie in the above entitled action. On December 6th, the United States secured Brian Laundrie's death certificate and has met its obligations under the Victims' Rights Act, which means talking really to Gabby Petito's family about the fact that this case was going to be dismissed and why it was going to be dismissed. So that is that's what happened. They filed the motion to dismiss based on his death. They had the death certificate December 6th. This was not filed until January 25th. I just have to wonder if the reason that this wasn't filed until the 25th is because they wanted to wait until the FBI officially closed their investigation. And I suspect that's what happened here, is that once the FBI notified everyone that their investigation was closed, then they went ahead and closed this case, because otherwise this case closing would have been an indication, at least to me and some others, I'm sure, that the FBI was not going to be pursuing more. That's how I took it. So that might just be me reading into it or not, but that's kind of what my take was. And then the signed order officially dismissing the case because the defendant is deceased. And so that is the end. I don't know if we will see anything else. There are still questions in this case. I know people have very strong questions, thoughts, feelings, all the emotions about Brian Laundrie's parents, but I just don't know if we will see more from that. All the investigative agencies have said they are closing their investigations, and we haven't seen anything following that up. I would think if there was going to be anything, they would have followed that up almost immediately. So I think that we will not see anything more from this case in the criminal sense. Whether there will be civil causes of action down the road, I don't know. There could be. It might be tough on some of those because, again, Brian Laundrie is deceased. We don't know all the details that went on with his family, um, and we might not, but down the road, eventually, we might see, some of this stuff coming to light more in Freedom of Information Act requests. Once everything's wrapped up, some of that information might start to come out, and then we will talk about it more. But for now, the Wyoming case is officially closed, and it's over. So I there's really not much more to say about it. I don't think we will see more from it. I don't. So we should go to our second Cardi B story this evening. I should have swooped. I didn't swoop. Why didn't I swoop? Well, I feel like we're in weekly roundup, so maybe we don't swoop in weekly roundup, but maybe we should swoop it here. Let's swoop for Cardi gets a swoop. We're gonna party Cardi and give it a swoop. We swooped. The reason I wanted to cover Cardi B again is because on Tuesday, we didn't have the final verdict forms for the punitive damages. We also didn't have a YouTuber dressed all in white video from Tasha K like we do now. I I don't know. I don't know if Observe will do a video on the Tasha K video, but it was very like he always points out the choice of clothing, and the choice of all white is always so interesting when it's like, no, it's soothing, it's pure, it's innocent, it's almost bridal. Like it just is. It is. Believe me, trust me. And Tasha K had a very um interesting video. You can go watch it. I'm going to do an I Have Thoughts podcast about it. A very interesting video saying that the jury was subject to payola. That's not what that word means. Payola is something that, well, isn't legal, but was going on in the radio industry, in the recording world, where radio stations would get kind of bonuses for playing certain music to bump it in charts and stuff. But it's not payola when it's a federal case and there's no indication that a jury's been tampered with. I mean, that's not what happened here. The jury looked at the evidence and saw Tasha K say, "Yeah, I knew it was false." And they went, "Well, there's no way around that. You said you knew it was false. You said it anyway." So even though defamation cases can be hard, when you look at this case, this was not, the statements were made over and over and over. And it wasn't like the Ethan Klein, Ryan Kavanaugh case, where Ryan Kavanaugh's former business partner said something in a legal filing and then it ended up in media articles. And Ethan Klein has said, well, this article says this. Yes, that could have been the case here if Tasha K had kept saying, well, this person who interviewed with me said this. This person who interviewed with me said this. They're making these allegations. But it spun and it grew and it added. And that became the problem. I think if it had just been, I interviewed this person, they said this, that's their opinion. We don't know if it's fact or not. That's what she's alleging. This would be a different case, but that's not what it was. And well, anyone who's seen the videos, we know that's what it was. Natalie Lawyer Chick has a great video that's got some of those video clips down. Most of the videos I think are down now. Tasha K said in her video she was taking them down. So let us look at the punitive damages order. Well, let's look at both. We're just going to, for those of you, we're going to swoop back. While we're talking about white suits, I heard Jamie Lynn's white suit was actually Lou Taylor's. Lou Taylor has been seen in a very, very similar white suit to what Jamie Lynn wore in that interview. And that suit did not look like it fit her at all. Like she had zero, like she was interviewing like this, like her shoulder pads were up to here. It was just a very odd situation. Me now trying to elongate my neck so I don't look like it was just, she was like, her jacket was up to, her jacket was wearing her. It was strange. So let's talk about this verdict form first, and you guys can all do the math. You guys can all add it. You guys can add it up. And then we'll still have lingering questions. Will Tasha K still be on YouTube? Will YouTube take action? Will Cardi B's side ask for YouTube to take action? Will they not? We don't know. Maybe we'll know later. Somebody said, I heard that Tasha K had all the Cardi videos on her Patreon. Well, that would not be a good look. Surely that would not be a good look. After they're found to be defamatory, because the thing with defamation is in most states, it just has to be said to one other person. So now you've been found, like, here's the thing. Here's my thought process. If you've been found guilty and a jury has said, these statements we believe are defamatory, and then you continue to republish those statements on a platform, could you be sued again for this? I wonder, could you be sued again for the republication of the same videos? I have to think on that, but I'm going to think on that. Like if you take the videos down off of one platform and put them up again somewhere else. I'm going to think on that. All right, let's talk about liability. Defamation, liable. Invasion of privacy, false light, liable. IIED, intentional infliction of emotional distress, liable. Plaintiff has proven that they're entitled to recover damages, $1 million in general damages, $250,000 in medical expenses, $1.25 million total. And then we're going to go to the next, the punitive damages form, and go through the punitive damages that they found the next day. Punitive damages, January 25th. As to defendant Tasha K, we assess the amount of $1 million as punitive damages, which is separate from any punitive damages against the studio. So she personally, the jury is saying, you personally owe $1 million because you suck. Like that's punitive damages are you suck damages. They're punishment damages. They're like, don't do it again. And punitive damages can be $1. Punitive damages can be nothing. Punitive damages can be 50 cents. Like, we think this is all stupid. Like, yeah, they did it, but we think this is dumb and nobody's getting punitive damages. The jury didn't think that. The jury was like, here's general damages. Here's punitive damages. So Fly Girl, I did a breakdown of this in the Alec Baldwin defamation case. False light, invasion of privacy is casting someone in a false light or an untrue light. Saying someone has herpes can be considered casting someone in a false light. So it is analogous to defamation, but it doesn't go to reputational harm. So thank you for asking. But it is in that realm of those types of torts. As to Tasha K's company, KB Studios, $500,000 in punitive damages. So the business has to pay $500,000. Tasha K has to pay $1 million personally. Litigation expenses, and they gave her joint and several costs of litigation. And this is really why you don't see more defamation cases going to trial. One, yes, defamation can be hard to prove. Two, it's expensive. It's expensive to be made. No, it's expensive to litigate. $1,338,753. Hey, you know what? That's probably about the cost of Erika Jayne's earrings that we're going to talk about later. They're saying the estimate's between 1.3 and 1.4 million. So maybe Erika Girardi's earrings cost about the same amount as the attorneys for Cardi B. There's a good way to put the numbers together. Anyway, 1.3 million. So this is a total verdict of what? 2.8 million plus the other verdict of 1.25 million. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. And it's the thing with civil litigation is that now Tasha K, they're going to have to, well, Cardi B is going to have to go after her to get the judgment paid. I don't imagine, based on Tasha K's statements on YouTube, that she is going to fight this all the way to the Supreme Court, which it's not going to go there. She could appeal it to the appellate court. And then if the appellate court had like an issue of law, which this is settled law. There's nothing novel in this case. The only thing novel about this case is how bold and blatant the defamation was. So it's not the type of case that would end up before the Supreme Court, because there's no reason. It would just go up to the appeals court. I don't know what issue she would appeal on. And then it would get yeeted back down and she would just spend more money that she's not paying to Cardi B. So now Cardi B is going to have to continue to go after enforcing her judgment. So it's not just like you get a judgment and it's like, woohoo, we're done. You have to impose that judgment. So you have to continue to go forward. So with that, we are going to get to the main topics, but the chat is going wild about Britney. So we're going to talk about that in just a second. I think I'm going to hop over to Instagram and take a look. But before I do that, I want to share tonight's stream sponsor with you. Have you ever logged onto YouTube and been like, ugh, Emily doesn't have a new video up? And then you go to some other streaming service and you're like, I've watched literally all of this. Today's sponsor has you covered. I am very excited to share Sundance Now with you and a 30-day free trial so you can start streaming your next obsession ad-free. I can't tell you the amount of tolerance I have for ads these days is literally zero. And I love just to be able to dive in to a new series. Sundance Now is brought to you by AMC Networks, and it is for people who appreciate riveting storytelling with fresh perspectives, with dramas from all over the world. Sundance Now is loaded with thousands of hours of binge-worthy content. And did I mention that it's ad-free? If you want to get started and just find something to dive into, let me recommend A Discovery of Witches. A Discovery of Witches Season 3 is the final season of the fan favorite fantasy series based on the All Souls trilogy by Deb Harkness. The Sundance Now original premieres on January 8th, and there are 7 episodes, the final dropping on February 19th. So you have plenty of time to catch up before the finale. In the final series of A Discovery of Witches, Matthew and Diana return from their trip to 1590 to find tragedy at Septors. They must find the missing pages from the Book of Life and the book itself before it's too late. Their enemies are gearing up against them, and a monster from Matthew's past who has been lying in wait will return for revenge. TV Guide calls this show pure catnip for fans of the genre. I think that is just fantastic. Bring your paw nerds. Let's dive into it. I want to know what you're watching. So to start streaming your next obsession, try Sundance Now free for 30 days by going to sundancenow.com and use promo code Emily. That's right. SundanceNow.com, promo code Emily. Let me know what you're streaming. I can't wait to hear. All right, let's get back into today's legal drama, mystery, and intrigue. And again, our sponsors allow me to not worry as much about, what I talk about, the subjects I cover. And it really gives me the freedom to cover the topics that are important to us, even if those topics might not be what YouTube considers advertiser friendly. So thank you again, Sundance. It was such a pleasure. And Discovery of Witches is really fun. Instagram will not pull up on the computer, so I can't share. So I just pulled it up on my phone, and this is Britney's post, and then we're going to get back to it. But this is Britney's post on Instagram, and I screenshotted it because sometimes these come down. But it is a clip of Jamie Lynn Spears, it looks like, talking about her book on the Reel, and it says in the caption, National bestseller, question mark, question mark, question mark, duh. The timing of your book was unbelievable, Jamie Lynn, especially knowing the whole world had no clue what was really done to me. My whole family, including you, is saying you didn't know. Bullshit. But what these women are saying here is pretty clear. I'm just kind of shocked that more people like these real soul sisters aren't telling it like it is. Congrats, bestseller. I'm not surprised at all. Clap emoji, book emoji, thumbs down emoji. The nerve of you to sell a book now and talk shit, but you're fucking lying, just like you lied about Alexa Nicholas. I wish you would take a lie detector test so all of these messes of people see you're lying through your teeth about me. I wish the Almighty Lord could come down and show this whole world that you're lying and making money off of me. You are scum, Jamie Lynn. Well, shit. Uh that's how Britney feels about that. So Britney is not shy to share how she's feeling these days, and she hasn't been able to speak for 13 years. I'm not surprised she wants to. So since you guys asked earlier in super chat, I'm here for it, about Britney Lynn. Good Lord, Emily. The request for deposition. Look, there is going to be fighting back and forth. We knew there was going to be fighting back and forth, but I just want to bring up something that I think is relevant, because I wonder if this is related to what we were talking about. So we're going to go to Britney Law Army on Twitter. You guys know that I love them. They are literally a group of lawyers that has flown in for every hearing, and they have been incredible in their coverage from court. And I really do trust the way that they break things down, because one, because they're attorneys, and two, because they are yeah, really fair in the way they report things. So we are going to pull up, let's see. There's a particular statement that they overheard. Oh, they retweeted me. Hey, thanks, Britney's Law Army. You'll rock. Let's see. It is a particular statement from Weingarten. There it is. And this is from Britney Law Army overhearing this after court from James Spears' attorney. I'm still going to fuck with his head when I send him that letter, from Weingarten to an anonymous person on the phone. I wonder if they knew that they would start to be asking for Britney to be deposed too. I wonder if they have already started talking about this as a part of their strategy to continue fighting back and forth with Britney. So this is the hearing for March 16th. We knew that was going to be set, so they added, it looks like, the other ones to it. That happened in court, so I'm not surprised by that. But the request for Britney to be deposed, I speculate, could have been maybe what they were talking about in the "I'm still gonna fuck with them" or "fuck with his head" when I send that letter. And it might be like, oh yeah, you want to depose James Spears? All right, we'll depose Britney. Here's the thing though. Depose Britney about what? She was in a conservatorship. She was not in charge. What can you depose her about? What is the legal grounds to depose her? On what basis? And for what purpose? There's nothing, I don't think, that you can depose her about. What are they going to ask her? Did Britney approve of having a recording device in her room? No. James Spears, you sit down and get deposed first. How about that, big guy? How about that? So that's going to continue getting fought in court. It's sometimes law is like a chess match, and you move pieces and pieces move around. Speaking of chess match, in the Queen's Gambit, the Netflix motion to dismiss got denied. We will cover that in a few days. I just have not had time to look into it, but the motion got denied, so there's that. there's that. Here's what I want to know next. Chat, you guys get to play choose your own adventure because there's two things I really want to talk about. Do we talk about Hayley Paige telling her Instagram followers what happened when it wasn't what happened? Or do we talk about Erika Girardi's earrings? I'm kind of feeling like we talk about Hayley Paige first. What do you think? Do we just go there? Should we? Oh, damn it. If Instagram's down, this is going to make this all much more difficult. Okay, good. Okay, good. We're going to go Hayley. You guys are like, Hayley, Erika, Hayley. I think we're going to go Hayley first because it's a little more legal. And then Erika's a little bit more tea. I mean, I guess this is kind of tea, but I'm sorry, Hayley Paige. You've misstated things. And it's been a while since we've covered this case. And I kind of went, ooh, like when this came down on Tuesday, I was like, oh, that was there. And you guys who were on live with me, I pulled it up. I went over it very quickly. It was before I saw a statement from Hayley Paige. So now we're just going to go to her Instagram, all that glitters on the gram. If you guys aren't from, oh, I should swoop. Emily, do your job. Be a professional. Get it together. We're going to talk about Hayley Paige. If you guys haven't been following this story, I don't know if I've put it together in a playlist yet. If I haven't, I will do that this evening. Hayley Paige is a wedding dress designer that was working for a company called JLM Couture. She was on Say Yes to the Dress. All of these things happened well after I was married. So the amount I paid attention to bridal after I was married was... So I was not aware of any of this at all until Hayley Paige put up that first Instagram video of her crying that she was leaving JLM and that like stuff had happened and that they were stealing her name and such. I'm just scrolling back because that original video is down here somewhere. And these videos are all still up. Now, the court has since held her in contempt for certain posts, but that post is still, where is it? It's still up here somewhere. Here's kind of the heart of the matter as I continue to scroll looking for this. Hayley Paige worked for a company called JLM. In her employment contract that we went over when we went over this lawsuit, as a provision of her employment, she sold the right to her name in connection with design work, bridal evening wear, etc. So with that, this first video. So what date was this video? I don't want to hear this. Don't talk. December 21st, 2020. So a year ago. So she sold her name to be a part of a dress line, a bridesmaids line, all manner of like wedding dresses and formal wear. She has since done several other video updates. This is one of them. I can't forget the influencer hat of this one. There is another one where she has a rebel shirt on in this. Again, if we're evaluating scenes of these, she's placed very low to make herself seem very small in the scene, which always can make you look like you're trying to be like the little guy getting picked on by the big bad company and things like that. So she has been giving updates on her social media throughout this and posting them. This latest update was posted either while I was live on Tuesday or just after I was live on Tuesday when the appellate ruling came down. But what she said was, to my Instagram family, this morning I received wonderful news from my appeal. The Second Circuit has ruled in my favor and ordered JLM to give me back my Instagram, Pinterest, and TikTok accounts immediately. Yeah, that's not what happened. We're going to go through that ruling, but that's not it. I will let you all know as soon as I have regained control of those accounts. Okay, y'all don't hold your breath because that's not what the Second Circuit said. While I will continue litigating the other issues at hand, not well, because the Second Circuit also said a lot about that. This is a huge step forward in protecting the rights of artists, creatives, influencers, and designers everywhere. Look. Bringing awareness that you can sell your name and later regret it is valid. Go ahead and bring awareness. But Hayley Paige sold her name under a valid contract. She now regrets it. I get it. However, you are not the first person to sell your name. Let's talk to Prince. He hated what happened with Sony, but we knew what happened. He became the artist formerly known as Prince because Sony owned Prince and he couldn't still use it when he separated from Sony. This has happened to Bobby Brown in makeup. This has happened with Kate Spade in design. When you design under your own name, if you sell your line, your name goes with it for the purposes of working in that field. That is not uncommon. It happens. We don't know how much she sold her name for, but we know now that she regrets it. While I will continue litigating the other issues at hand, this is a huge step forward in protecting the rights of artists, creatives, influencers, and designers everywhere. Don't sign a contract where you sell your name. For me, it is an incredible relief and finally a victory. Lawyers and law students in the chat, y'all are gonna be frustrated. For those of you who are saying, could she not understand? We're gonna go through that. And again, she has lawyers that she can run all this by before she says anything, so that they can explain this to her. No, there is no, I just didn't understand. This was a choice. Was it a bad choice? We will see. I appreciate you sharing this message and will continue to update you with details. I'm sure it's gotten shared. It's got over 84,000 likes from 3 days ago. She signed it, A Girl You May Know. And again, it's not that she's not allowed to use her name. She can go to Starbucks and they're like, name for your order, Hayley. Fine. She can't use it in connection with commerce. And the thing is, on this Instagram account, she does participate in commerce. There are things that she sells, brand deals that she does, and stuff like that. So there is still commerce happening here with things like brand deals. What I need to look, which no shade, get your money. Lawyers' bills are expensive. She said 29 weeks ago that she was close to getting a new name. The court put the absolute hell fucking no down on that. And so what you can't do is announce a new name. You can't do any of this. You can't do any of this. So with that, let's talk about this ruling, shall we? You guys are like, wait, go back, cute dog. The dog's adorable. Agreed. The paw nerds are peak. The paw nerds are peak Instagramminess. Love the dog. Get the dog the sponsorships. Let the dog do sponsorships. Get the dog his own gram or her own gram. Get the dog their own gram. Let's just see the dog. But this has continued on this Instagram account. And again, why aren't these the same color? Anyway, I'm not one to judge. My Instagram's definitely not pretty, and it's also not verified. 1 year she posted on December 14th. It has been 1 year since I was sued in federal court by the employer I dedicated over 9 years of my life. It's interesting the way it's sorry, my throat tonight. It's interesting the way she chose to bold the eyes and the 9. Like, is it just me that pops out for, or is that popping out for y'all too? Is it popping? Are the eyes popping? It has been 1 year since I was sued in federal court by the employer I dedicated over 9 years of my life to with, because they also dedicated 9 years to you. I would just pause it. Instead of fearing or caving in, I stood up for myself. Since then, this company has, it's a slider post. Okay. Interesting to see how this will go. Prevented me from working in the industry I have dedicated my life, education, and industry experience to. That's not actually factual, though. She can't work in connection with her name, and she signed a non-compete that she's still connected to. And when you contract for things like a non-compete, you get paid an amount of money for them, and her contract wasn't up yet. And her contract, here's the thing. She signed the contract. The contract had a force extend, and this happens with creatives. I don't like it either. But she agreed to the force extend, and you don't have to agree. I mean, but then you don't get to be on Say Yes to the Dress, and you don't get a brand putting your dresses in all the stores. That's the trade-off. But her contract was extended by JLM. She did not have a right to terminate her contract. Read your contracts. Can you terminate them? She could not. Should she have negotiated for more? Maybe she did. Maybe that was part of the negotiation. Okay, if you don't want this, you give me more money. Fine. And then she regretted it. which is also fine, but you can't just breach your contract. So she stopped working and they're like, but your non-compete is still in force. So they're not preventing you from working. They're enforcing the contract that you signed. I just see that as a slight difference in facts, but okay. C-Stall commissions to me for my previous design since November 2019, as I believe the contract requires. Well, if they are required to pay her that, it will come out in court. She will have to pay that back. The chat's like, wait, so she signed a contract. She's now upset about it. Correct. Preventing me from using my own birth name, including derivatives in any business or commerce, and even to publicly identify myself on social media. No, 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 no. You can identify yourself if it's not in commerce. So if you're talking about you not in connection with selling shit, then that's okay. But if you're going to make money on your account, then you sold that right. But that's also part of the preliminary injunction. Sued my fiance for using my name to identify me on our podcast and social media. Well, that's accurate, but there's context missing because it was a workaround because she was using her name in connection with commerce, which is against the preliminary injunction. So they violated the preliminary injunction and then got held in contempt. That part's not in. Oh, maybe it is in here. Maybe it is in here. Let's see. Limited my creative expression in the content I am allowed to share with respect to so much as sketching on social media. Well, she was sharing like dress designs, and the court thought that that maybe violated their order too and held her in contempt. Stopped me from talking about my future plans and announcing a new name. Well, again, they asked the court to do it and the court did it. So, okay. I mean, the court did that. Drained me financially of all the money I ever made as a designer and most of my life savings while continuing to profit from my designs and names. I see why you see it that way, but you also have continued to litigate with them. I'm sure there were settlement negotiations at some point. That's me speculating because I don't remember if that's in court documents exactly. But also them having to litigate more was based on her activities. So they went again, they went to court again because she was going to announce a new release, but it was still during the non-compete period. Like all of these things are things that, well, circumstances that she created. So it's not like they're draining her of money. They asked her to stop doing things and then she didn't, and then they sued her. So, you know, she continued on. I haven't read the rest of this. I only saw the first page. So we're going to keep exploring social media and the odd bolding of it before we get into what the court actually said. I've struggled to understand why a bridal company would want to do this. Is this enforce a contract? I'm guessing that's what this is. And how it's legal to prevent someone from working while also not paying them. Well, it's not a non-compete. I'll be interested to see what the court does with the paying of her commissions, but also she breached her contract by just stopping working under a contract where she was not allowed to do that. So I can understand why that's playing out in court, which is why I have appealed the ruling and I'm hoping for some kind of relief from the Second Circuit. Well, spoiler alert. The ruling, I know that my energy is best served in being an example and learning from the lessons and then sharing those lessons so that others can benefit and find a way to protect themselves. Share the contract that you signed then. Share the contract that you signed then and the provisions that you agreed to, and tell people why you now don't like those provisions, even though that they were what you agreed to. Share the contract and be like, look, it's in the court documents. It's public record. Help people understand exactly what you signed. I don't know who needs to hear this, but you can endure a lot more than you think. Well, I'm in my 40s. I definitely know that. Life has not been easy. I know that this, I know this now in a way I never did before. This font is killing me. It's in the battle that you learn the most about yourself and who other people really are. If this year has been unkind to you or didn't provide the certainty or healing you were looking for, I hope you find relief in being a message of strength and survival. Oh, she is painting herself as just being just purely the victim here. Um, I hope you find grace in the face of evil. Well, that is a good sentiment. If hope is a general sentiment. If you are seeking answers, believe that you already have it in you to do what it takes to move forward. Your power exists in your response and your ability to still be you despite those trying to hurt or invalidate you. I hope this next year is your year. Remember that you are here today, alive, burning bright by the fires you've walked through. If she had just made that her post, like it wouldn't be that could have just been the post. That could have just been the post. You guys are like, this is a strong 2008 font for sure. It's literally killing me. Let's see what the last. Oh, this is the end. Finally, thank you for showing up and supporting me, especially the restricted pared down version of me. I'm sure this all feels very frustrating. While I cannot share the type of thoughts and content I want, well, you've shared quite a lot. I am inspired by the ways you've encouraged me to pivot. You truly have collectively given me the gift of everything this past year. If you believe change is needed with respect to non-competes and protecting creatives, artists, and women, please share this message. Yes, and don't sign non-competes. If you or someone you know has had a tough year, please share this message. While it's hard to know the weight that each of us is carrying, the people who are helping us get through it and believing in our ability to prevail are the ones to hold tight to. A girl you might know. Okay. And you know what? I realize there are power disparities in these things, but companies also invest tremendous resources into these things. So there has to be a negotiation for taking on someone who is unknown. And the initial complaint is like, this was a talented, essentially, I don't know if it said talented, but the gist was this is a talented unknown designer and we wanted to work with her and we wanted to work with her exclusively, and this is how we were going to do it, and this is how we now protect our investment into building the brand that is Hayley Paige. But then Hayley Paige the person can't just walk away and be like, now I get to take the brand with me, because you didn't build the brand. The business, the company you worked for built the brand, and the brand belongs to them because you sold it to them. So you can walk away as a human and you can design after your non-compete's done under a different name, but you can't do it under the Hayley Paige name. And the second the look, it, Hayley Paige's posts and what the Second Circuit said don't jive, because she's like, we won. And the Second Circuit was like, you're screwed. And that's just my, well, we'll just go to see what the Second Circuit said. But I didn't read the Second Circuit as saying, hey, Hayley, you win. I read the Second Circuit as saying, you're probably going to lose a lot of this. And my summary from the Second Circuit, you're probably going to lose a lot of this. You contracted away the right to your name, and I want the court to redetermine who is in charge of the social media accounts based on a different theory of law, not the theory that they decided. So it wasn't you win, it was, hey, court, could you go look at a few things before you come back and do this again, because we want you to look at it this way. So that's not, I don't call that a win. I mean, maybe I'm just particular about the way words work. In this, we're going to go through the order from the appellate court. If you see the part where it says that Hayley Paige gets her accounts back immediately and they are ordered to turn them over, please let me know. Well, no, I was going to say, please let me know, because maybe I'm missing something, but like, that's me being disingenuous. I know I'm not missing something. Just, you know, point it out. Don't point it out. Keep looking for it and then be shocked by the fact that it's not there. And don't forget to like and subscribe. We're close to binging. So as I say that, also, there has been litigation after this that we are also going to have to cover, because Hayley Paige's lawyers were like, yo, turn over the accounts. And JLM's lawyers were like, yo, that's not what the Second Circuit said. And we will get to look at the fancy font for the Second Circuit. Look at that. We love a good appellate court font. What happened? Why are we all bunched up here, though? Oh, but we love a good appellate court ruling. So this was argued in October. This was decided January 25th, 2022. That was Tuesday when this came down, when I was live. So, oh, have I pointed out to you? I don't think I have. I realized this when I was going through Cardi B's case. Cardi B's lawyer, Sarah Matz, who was her lead attorney at trial, is also JLM's lawyer. So when we get to JLM's response, you will see that JLM's lawyer is Cardi B's lawyer. So some of you are going to be like, Sarah Matz, why do I know that name? That's why. Tonight we're just going to cover Sarah Matz cases. You salty, run. So we're covering Sarah Matz's cases right now, Salty. We're sorry. We're sorry. We've moved on. We've moved on to other sassy no, we haven't. Teasing. And this is second appellate court. We don't know if there's sassy footnotes in here. Not too sassy because it's an appeals court. Definitely not as sassy as the judge who was pissed at Triller. That Judge Anderson is probably my favorite at the moment. Because all of the sass. All right. Second Circuit. Hayley Paige Gutman, a bridal designer. I love the way the court summarized this. A bridal designer and social media influencer appeals from a preliminary injunction, later called a P, between Gutman and bridal gown company JLM Couture. JLM orders Gutman not to compete with JLM through the end of her contractual term. So while you're contracted with JLM, you can't go design for their competitor. That's standard. Orders Gutman not to compete with JLM through the end of her contractual term, enjoins her from using her name and its derivative in trades or commerce, and grants JLM exclusive control over 3 disputed social media accounts for the duration of the litigation. That is the mostly contested point. We conclude that the district court did not abuse its discretion in entering the non-compete and name rights prongs of the injunction. You can't use your name. You cannot compete. You can't use your name. You cannot compete. The court was right. The preliminary injunction's right. What is the preliminary injunction based on? Everyone say it together. It's based on a likelihood that JLM is going to win. So the court is saying you cannot compete. It's not JLM doing it to you. It's the court and then the appellate court backing it up. And you can't use your name. And that's not JLM doing that to Hayley Paige. That is the court and now the appellate court saying they are correct. And they say that properly flows from JLM's likely meritorious claims against Gutman for breach of contract. If I'm Gutman reading this, if I'm Hayley Paige reading this, and the appellate court is saying JLM likely meritorious claims, when you get down in this opinion later, the court is like, look, we interpret this contract to say that she sold those rights. So the court is really saying to Hayley Paige, look, you in danger, girl. You sold your name. What would you like us to do? Like, bruh. They also say, nor did the district court err in rejecting Gutman's contention that JLM breached the contract by refusing to pay her after she stopped working. So JLM didn't breach the contract, according to the Court of Appeals. We agree with Gutman, however, that the district court exceeded its discretion by transferring exclusive control over the disputed social media accounts to JLM while explicitly declining to assess whether JLM would likely succeed on its claim that it owned the accounts. Are the accounts property, chattel, that is the legal property, and we talked about this when we talked about the complaint ages ago. Are the social media accounts property? And does JLM own that property, or are they likely to succeed on the merits of owning that property? But what the appellate court said is the court didn't assess the property prong of it. So they vacate that part. They don't say return anything, and they remand it. Remanding it means, Your Honor, can you evaluate this again? I'm going to need you to evaluate this again. So we're going to vacate that part and say, no, that part of the preliminary injunction isn't going to go forward, which means you then maintain the status quo and then remand the case for further proceedings consistent with this opinion, which means the court can go back and say, okay, well then let me evaluate it under a property theory for you. So they go through, and I'm not going to go through this entire 37-page ruling, or we'll talk about nothing else this evening. I think they summarize, well, the appellate court did things well. Yes, Emily. The appellate court did things well. They summarized the background well, they summarized the issues well, and the court, um here's where they talk about agreeing with Gutman. We agree with Gutman, however, that the district court exceeded its discretion by granting exclusive control over the disputed accounts to JLM while explicitly declining to assess JLM's likelihood of success on its claims that it owned the accounts. So it wants the court to assess that question. Hey, court, can you tell us what JLM's likelihood of success on the claim of ownership is? More specifically, in its complaint and motion for a preliminary injunction, JLM sought to gain unqualified control over the disputed accounts based on its claims of conversion and trespass to chattels. Those are property claims. And we talked about trespass to chattels back in the original complaint. The chattel is the nose. Sorry, law school. You had to be there. It was funny. Even when I came home from law, there was a day we were talking about chattel, and I came home from law school this one time at law school, and I come home and Dr. B has had a long day doing full mouth rehabs and, specialty maxillofacially things. And he's like, "How was your day at law school?" I'm like, "Oh my God, you're never going to believe it." So we were in class and we were talking about this case, and there was like a dog and a dude, and the professor's doing the Socraticizing, and the professor's like, "What is the chattel? And, is the chattel the dog or is the chattel the nose?" And this guy was like, "Oh my God, the chattel is the nose." And we're like, "The chattel is the nose. The chattel is the dog." Ah! And my husband's like, "What the fuck?" And this is why law students talk to other law students. The chattel is the nose. No, the chattel is the dog. You've had these days. I know you've had these days where you've come home from work or school and you've looked at someone in your life, your family, your partner, and you're like, "Oh my God, the funniest thing happened today." And you start to tell the story and they're like, "I have no idea who any of these people are or why that was hilarious." And you're like, "Right." You had to be there. So chattel. The district court recognized that the question of social media account ownership was, quote, novel, and declined at the preliminary injunction stage to evaluate the merits of those claims. The court nevertheless entered JLM's proposed provision transferring control of the disputed accounts nearly verbatim. We do not see how a grant of indefinite exclusive control over the disputed accounts could be a proper remedy for any of JLM's other claims. So this is the appellate court saying, you lower court, you need to determine how the exclusive control is a proper remedy. And that means you need to address the conversion and trespass to chattels claim. So it could be the proper remedy, but it's not the proper remedy on these claims. So can you evaluate the trespass to chattels claims? Evaluate if these accounts are property and if JLM could win on the fact that they're property. And so they say, we thus affirm in part. So JLM wins for most of it. They vacate in part as to the exclusive control. That doesn't mean give it back. That means the court needs to reassess. And then they remand. If they wanted to reverse it, they would reverse it and say, give it back. They're more than, the Second Circuit is more than capable of saying, the court exceeded its authority. We reverse and remand, give the accounts back. They didn't reverse. They vacated and remanded. So they said, we need you to evaluate it differently. Like, yes, but do it differently. So we're not going through the background. We've been through the background of this case. I need to put together a playlist if I don't already have one. I just don't remember. I didn't look before I went live. So we're going to get down to what the court ruled again on that issue. And so the standard of review here is really, did the court base its ruling on an erroneous view of the law, make erroneous assessments of the evidence, or render a decision that could not be located within the range of possible decisions? And this is, I think, where they came to is like, hey, without evaluating the property part, how did you get to that being the remedy part? So they go through the non-compete agreement and literally say, it's fine. we agree with the court that they can enforce a non-compete. Uh, sorry, Hayley Paige, you lose on that. The non-compete is enforceable. The contract says what it says. And they, in sum, we're going to do the in sums of each of these. In sum, Hayley Paige has identified no abuse of discretion in the district court's order enforcing the non-compete provision in effect through the end of her contractual agreed term. We therefore affirm paragraph 3B of the preliminary injunction. Name rights agreement. This is, I think, the important part. Gutman challenges the portions of the preliminary injunction relating to the name rights. She contends that the contract grants JLM the right to use Hayley Paige Gutman and its derivatives in connection with only, quote, such clothing or related items that Gutman, quote, has substantially participated in designing or creating during her employment. Contract 10A. But the very next subsection explicitly states otherwise. This is the contract. The appellate court is quoting the contract to tell her that she's wrong. Gutman hereby irrevocably sells, assigns, and transfers all right, title, and interest to JLM that now exists or may exist during the term and any extensions thereof, and for a period of 2 years thereafter, to register the designer's name and any derivatives thereof as trademarks or service marks. The trademarks shall in perpetuity be the exclusive property of JLM. If they register the trademark with the names, which they did, then the trademarks shall in perpetuity, for fucking ever, be the exclusive property of JLM. Gutman having consented to it being filed by JLM, and Gutman shall have no right to the use of the trademarks, designer's name, or any confusingly similar marks or names in trade or commerce during the term or any time thereafter without the express written consent of JLM. The appellate court just went, whoop, there it is. The contract says what it says. Forever. Perpetuity. You know what's the most disappointing part, though? We don't know how much she sold her name for, because it's like redacted. And yeah, it's appropriate that it's redacted. I get it. But I'm so curious. I'm so nosy. I hope one day we learn. Me. I hope we know. I hope we know. You guys are saying sad trombone. Hold on. Is that the right one? I hope that was the right one. Was that the right one? Darn it, I don't know. Was that the right one? Or did the kids laugh? Wait. Is this sad trombone? Oh, can you guys not hear it? No, I don't have it turned on. Hold on. Darn it, that's the right one. The wrong one. Nope. There we go. There's our sad trombone. Now I know where it is again. It's been a while since we've used the sounds. But that's look. Here's what the court said. We decline Gutman's invitation. We respectfully decline to acquiesce to your request. We decline Gutman's invitation to depart from the plain language of the contract. Hayley Paige, girl, you in danger. You in danger. They said, we're not going to depart from the plain language of the contract. The plain language of the contract says what? That you sold your name forever. You guys are like labels. Yeah, I know. Because, yeah, I know. I should label things. They go on to say, first, Gutman argues that the court should read designer's name to incorporate the other limitations of Section 10A, but designer's name is clearly defined in Section 10A as Hayley Paige, Hayley Paige Gutman, Hayley Gutman, Hayley Paige, or any derivative thereof. Look, JLM's got to be glad that this is a well-written contract, because it's a well-written contract. The remaining conditions in Section 10A, a termination date and limitation of the right to cover only goods Gutman helped design, are not part of the definition of designer's name. Section 10B is thus in no way ambiguous and clearly prohibits The appellate court clearly prohibits Gutman from using the designer's name in trade or commerce. I don't know how that's a win, because the court just affirmed what JLM's been arguing and said, you sold your name. Too bad, so sad. So I thought it was important to point out what the court said there, because the court is like, no, we're not trying to make this contract do backflips here. We're just reading what it says, and what it says is this. The contract is plain and clear and simple, not like the contract that we were talking about with regard to the Prince Andrew case, whether that settlement agreement covered him or not. That one's not nearly as clear as this. This is very clear. So they go on to conclude that the district court did not err in concluding that this provision applies to any use of the designer's name in trade or commerce, and we affirm the court's decision to enforce the name rights agreement through the preliminary injunction. So she can't do anything until the case resolves, and the appellate court is like, yeah, duh. Me horribly oversimplifying the appellate court into being like, yeah, duh, that's what it says. Good job, Emily. Social media accounts. This is the part that I'm fascinated by and kind of love. Here's why. This is fascinating to me. Social media accounts as assets. Like, we're seeing this world move quickly with NFTs and with like digital rights and digital property rights and digital goods, but social media accounts as property, as a tangible, valuable asset. And we know that that's true. We know that that's true. We've seen people buy and sell YouTube accounts. People can sell social media accounts. Corporations start accounts to build because they are monetarily valuable. I literally have a job that pays my bills because of my social media accounts. So we know that these are valuable property, and it's just the fact that the court didn't evaluate them as property matters here. And so with that, we are going to look at what the court says kind of quickly. They talk about the 3 disputed accounts. They talk about a case where they talked in dicta. We're not going to go through the accounts. We're not going to go through the fact that the accounts are disputed. JLM and Gutman agree that the disputed accounts are property belonging to one of them, but they disagree vigorously about whose accounts they are. JLM contends that Gutman created the disputed accounts in her capacity as an employee, that they are therefore owned by the company, and that JLM merely gave Gutman wide discretion as its agent to operate the accounts as she saw fit. The accounts were started during her time as an employee. In contrast, Gutman argues that she created the disputed accounts in her personal capacity, that JLM did not acquire them simply by virtue of investing in the Hayley Paige brand, and that she did not cede ownership to JLM by agreeing to use her accounts to market Hayley Paige products, or by occasionally giving other JLM employees direct access when it was in her interest to do so. The parties also disagree about who had ultimate authority over posts, whether any such authority was derived from ownership or from some power or duty under the contract. In the end, the district court, quote, declined to address JLM's conversion and trespass to chattel claims, or to, quote, or to evaluate, quote, that somewhat more nuanced issue of ownership of the Instagram account itself. But the court nevertheless granted JLM control over all 3 disputed accounts and entered this part of the proposed PI nearly verbatim. The contract provides only that that Gutman has consented to an injunction in the event of her breach, prohibiting her from violating any provision of the contract. We conclude that the breaches identified by the district court are insufficient by themselves to justify the relief granted regarding control of the disputed accounts. So they're not saying it's an improper remedy. They're saying it's an improper remedy for those other breaches. First, the district court determined that Gutman breached her duty under Section 2 of the contract to assist the company with advertising by refusing to post JLM's content on the Instagram account. Second, the court reasoned that much of the Instagram account's content is JLM's intellectual property under Section 11 of the contract, which gives JLM ownership over Gutman's creations while employed with the company. Third, the court ruled that Gutman's use of @Miss Hayley Paige handle on Instagram in trade or commerce violated the name rights agreement. So they continue to talk about those agreements. They say that it is the overbreadth of the preliminary injunction reading in those rights without talking about the underlying property claims. They go on to say that Judge Lynch would affirm this part of the preliminary injunction, at least as it, because this is a panel of judges, at least as it applies to the Instagram account, with the concession that the PI might be modified to revert partial control to Gutman. Such slimmed down relief would, in the dissent's view, be the equitable means of, quote, restoring the account to a manner in which it was operated before Gutman unilaterally seized exclusive control. Dissent at 2. So there is a dissent there where one of the court judges say, I wouldn't send it back to the lower court. I would give partial control to both because it's clear as it applies to the Instagram. They go on to say that the district court erred in assuming that the analysis of the Instagram account necessarily controlled the disposition of all 3 disputed accounts or all 18 accounts listed in the PI. In fact, it's unclear how the 18 accounts were chosen in the first place. If the criteria for inclusion were simply whether the name of the account is under the designer's name, JLM's list would seem to be under-inclusive. In addition to the disputed Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest accounts, Gutman claimed to own several personal accounts not included in JLM's list, all with Miss Hayley Paige as the handle, web address, or username, including a Snapchat and a Spotify account. They go on to say that we do not attempt to decide for the first time on appeal without full argument from the parties the correct framework for answering who owns the disputed accounts or which result that framework would dictate. So they're not saying give anyone anything. They're saying the court needs to go back and decide. On remand, the district court could choose to answer directly the question of JLM's likelihood of success on the merits of its conversion and trespass claims, properly weigh the relevant injunction factors, and grant or deny any injunctive relief accordingly. So this is, hey, court, you can do this or you can do that when you get it back. Alternatively, the court may prefer to decide that the balance of equities favors denying any property-based injunction and thereby avoid the merits question, leaving Gutman in control of the disputed accounts. Finally, the court may choose to modify the vacated portion of the injunction and provide JLM with relief for JLM's breach of contract claims that stems from Gutman's obligations under the contract. In any event, we conclude that the district court exceeded its discretion by effectively assigning valuable assets to JLM without first determining whether the company likely owns them. We therefore vacate the portion of the PI concerning the disputed accounts and remand for further analysis and clarification. So they gave the court like 3 options, like you could do this, you could do this, you could do this. None of those options said immediately turn these accounts over to Hayley Paige Gutman. None of them say that. Then they go on to say that they don't think JLM breached the contract and that the district court was correct that JLM did not breach the contract. In conclusion, they vacate, affirm, and remand. Go back and do it again. So Hayley Paige's lawyers filed a motion, shockingly, in court saying, hey, give us the accounts. We'd sure like those accounts. Could you give us those accounts? We'd sure like those accounts. Here, let's look at the letter motion. To the court from Hayley Paige's. No, wait. This is the one from Sarah Matz. This is not from Hayley Paige's. Where's the one from Hayley Paige's? I pulled up the wrong one. We can't go backwards. No. Did I just yeeted myself out of my research, my entire research drive. Good. For professionals here, people. This is why I go off screen to do this stuff. So when I mess it up, it's not as embarrassing. It's only minimally embarrassing. Where is the letter I'm looking for? The emergency motion. Here it is. Emergency. We want our Instagram account back. Emergency. This is from Hayley Paige's lawyers. Your Honor, we represent defendant Hayley Paige Gutman. In the above referenced action, JLM is currently violating the judgment of the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit by failing to return Hayley Paige's highly valuable social media accounts. We write to request that this court order enter an order enforcing the Second Circuit's judgment. Your Honor! By the way, that ruling came down on the 25th. This was filed on the 25th. I was going to go with a sassier voice, and then it was like the emergency girl. Earlier today, the Second Circuit issued an opinion and judgment with respect to Hayley's appeal of the preliminary injunction order entered by this court. The opinion and judgment are annexed as Exhibits A and B here too, respectively, just in case the court does not have them. The Second Circuit affirmed 2 aspects of the protective order and vacated 1 aspect. Oh, good. Someone knew that JLM won at least part of it. Good. So we're clear that the lawyers know. As relevant to this letter motion, the Second Circuit's opinion and judgment vacated the portion of the PI order which had required Hayley to relinquish control of her Miss Hayley Paige Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest accounts to plaintiff JLM Couture. Specifically, the Second Circuit's opinion states, we vacate paragraph 1 and 2 of the PI, as well as the paragraph ordering Gutman to provide JLM with control of the disputed accounts. And then it goes on to say, we remand. Given the Second Circuit vacated the PI with respect to Hayley's accounts, we sent an email to JLM's counsel requesting that JLM immediately transfer control of Hayley's accounts back to Hayley as required by the opinion and judgment. However, JLM has failed to do so and has not even provided a response to this request. What was going on the 25th? So Sarah Matz is the attorney. On the 25th, they were arguing because we were watching to see if the ruling or the jury verdict would be coming in for the punitive damages in the Cardi B case, because that was argued that morning. So I don't know like the hour by hour timing of it, but Sarah Matz that morning was arguing, unless her co-counsel did, but she was lead counsel, the punitive damages and the attorney's fees to the jury in the Cardi B case. So she was literally in trial. JLM has failed to do so and not even provided a response. Well, I need the hours. Like, what time did you send the email? And then convert it to Central Time so we can figure out what we were doing. Because I'm curious. JLM's disregard of the Second Circuit's ruling should not be permitted. Because the Second Circuit has remanded the case for further proceedings consistent with this opinion, we respectfully request this court order JLM to return control of Hayley's accounts. We request this court immediately provide to Hayley's counsel by email the current username and password for each of the accounts and provide such other assistance as necessary for Hayley to regain full control of the accounts. Now, do it now. Your Honor, do it now. And if that had been the ruling of the Second Circuit, then the court could have done that. The court hasn't done that yet. I need to go look and see if the court has done anything today, because I didn't see anything. So, there was an order. Just kidding. Hold on. Let's look at the order. There was an order. I forgot. What day was this entered? The 27th. Was that yesterday? That was yesterday. The court has received defendant's letter motion for urgent relief and plaintiff's response, which we'll get to in just a second. The parties are hereby directed to meet and confer and file a joint status report by February 2nd as to their proposed next steps in this action, including their views as to the effect of Rule 41 of the Federal Rules of Appellate Procedure on this court's authority to take any requested action. So no, what I'm not going to do is just order the turning over of the accounts. We're not doing that. I would like y'all to tell me next steps. And I imagine next steps are going to be, Your Honor, we need to have a hearing. I imagine that's what's going to be. And dear Judge Swain, and I always read this as Swan, and I don't mean to, but in my head, it's like Swan. Like, I don't mean any disrespect to Judge Swain. We represent, again, Sarah Matz, we represent plaintiff JLM Couture Inc. in the above referenced action. Pursuant to Part A1 of Your Honor's individual practices, we write in response to defendant Hayley Paige Gutman's letter dated January 25th, seeking an order of the court directing JLM to provide Gutman with login credentials and social media accounts at issue, so that Gutman can have full control of them. JLM respectfully requests that the court deny those requests as, for the reasons set below, it's not warranted. JLM commenced this action by filing of a motion for a temporary restraining order. Oh, we know. Let's see. We need to go to the next paragraph. We know the backstory. To that end, there is no dispute that the need for injunctive relief to protect against irreparable harm to JLM, its contractual rights, intellectual property, and goodwill associated with it, and other property is the same now that it was when the court granted the TRO. Your Honor, you can't just willy-nilly throw things back over there because we talked about this already. They then go on to say the Second Circuit did not direct JLM to turn over the accounts to Gutman for her full control so she can continue to irreparably damage JLM. To the contrary, it remanded those decisions back down to this court. Specifically, the Second Court held that the relief in paragraphs 1 and 2 of the PI provided a grant of perpetual, unrestricted, and exclusive control throughout the litigation that sounds in property, not in contract, despite the fact that the PI order did not reach the conclusions of who owns the accounts for the conversion and trespass to chattel claims. The Second Court further ordered, and we just read this, so I'm not going to read it again here. Furthermore, it logically follows that on this issue, the court would and should adhere to, reinstate, and or revert the temporary relief granted in the TRO. The TRO relief was, in addition to findings of likelihood of success on the trademark and contract claims, also based on its findings that plaintiff had made a sufficient showing on its claims for conversion and trespass. So what they are arguing about, or what they are arguing for from JLM's perspective, is, okay, if this is vacated, then the status quo that we would revert back to is the temporary restraining order, because we did the temporary restraining order and then the preliminary injunction. So it would revert back to the temporary restraining order, which means the status quo is we maintain control and we don't diminish the value of the asset, and then the court redecides because it's been remanded for the court to redecide. And then I'm not going to go through the whole thing because we do need to move on. They say, regardless of the determination on the conversion and trespass claims, and in the event the court is inclined to provide Gutman with any access to the accounts, there's no basis to provide her with, quote, full control. And for the reasons set forth above, full control cannot be given to Gutman. The Second Court's decision provides no basis to take away JLM's access to or use of the accounts. As such, to the extent that the court is inclined to provide Gutman with any access, it should provide modified immediate injunctive relief to protect JLM's contractual rights and trademark rights, as well as all rights in the account that will likely be found in JLM's favor. So they go on to argue why essentially why the TRO was granted anyway. And they say that Gutman has not provided any argument that she will be harmed in any way if she is not given access to the accounts. Gutman has literally not provided one reason why she requires use of the accounts. Gutman has also failed to provide any argument why that she will be harmed if she is not given full control, because she will not be. To the extent Gutman is relying on her original argument that she needs to commercialize the accounts, that is all the more reason for this court not to give her full access and control. As she clearly intends to cause permanent irreparable harm, Gutman should not be allowed to cause permanent and irreparable damage by breaching the contract and refusing to assist JLM with its advertising programs and preventing JLM from using the accounts for its advertising programs. And then they go on to talk about the balance of the equities and say it is JLM further respectfully requests a conference with the court to discuss these issues addressed in the letter, including the retention of paragraphs A1, A2, and the TRO drafting. And the court responded and said, y'all need to sit down and chat about it and come on back and tell me what you want to do. So with that, there are some footnotes. Oh, here's the footnote. As set forth in the email sent to the court on January 26, 2022, the undersigned was actually engaged in a jury trial on January 25th, 2022. And after flying back to New York that night, this was our first opportunity to respond. We were in trial. I'm sorry I did not email you back immediately. You're in trial. And then the court said, yeah, we're not going to just give back control to anybody. We need to have a further hearing. So meet and confer. Counsel, y'all talk and get back to me. And that's what's going to happen. I will be very interested to see what happens on February 2nd and then see what happens after it. I think that the biggest news in this is that the appellate court said that JLM's contract is likely to succeed with regard to the non-compete and the name rights. And I think that that puts Hayley Paige on the back foot defending. because I don't know how you continue to go forward on those claims when the appellate court is like, the contract says what it says. Good luck. That's going to be a problem. The ownership of the social media accounts is a very interesting issue. And I think the most interesting issue in this case, because the others were contractual rights. And we will continue looking at that. Like if you start a social media account and you advertise the work you do for your company, is it their property? It's like if you're a, I don't know, designer for Mattel and you come up with a line of dolls and you name it Bratz and you try to sell it on your own, but you designed it while you were working at Mattel. Does Mattel own the rights to Bratz or does the employee? Well, the company owns the rights to the intellectual property because it's in the same genre as what they were contracted for. And this is something that goes on in tech companies too. Who owns what you create while you're an employee? Generally, the employer does across most forms of employment law, which is why when you see people who want to be independent contractors, writers, reporters, journalists, photojournalists, it's because they don't want all of their intellectual property to be the possession of their employer. And it's a big part of it, because if you are working for an employer, they can own the things that you create. That can include social media accounts. So it will be very interesting to see what happens and if the court gets salty with her for her social media post again. Because this court has had a no nonsense approach to that shit. Just like, nope, we're holding you in contempt. What we're not going to do. What we're not going to do is any of this. It is time though to talk about Erika Jayne's earrings, not my $750,000 earrings. I'm just kidding. These I think were $57 earrings from Kendra Scott. You can have them too. They're my favorite. I love them. They're like my version of hoops because hoops make my face look very round and I would like to be more angular. So we went with the angular danglies. I love them so much. We should talk about Erika Jayne. Let's talk about these earrings, folks. Have you guys been following? Let me know in the chat. Have you been following this story either on my socials or other channels? Have you been like, what is happening with the earrings? Like what? Here's the like real quick rundown. Tom Girardi is in a whole world of shit over fuckery he pulled as an attorney. His wife has been pulled into the shit because she is unequivocally benefited from the fuckery that he pulled. Whether she knew of said fuckery is not mine to decide today. I have not seen enough to know. She knows now. But in the two bankruptcies, there is one for Tom Girardi as the person. Tom Girardi, the individual, married to Erika Jayne, because that divorce ain't through yet, honey, and she's on the hook for the community property. Then there is the law firm bankruptcy. Then there is the Edelson PC lawsuit in Illinois, where Edelson sued everybody and was like, yo, we're going to allege that this divorce was a sham. We're going to allege a $20 million loan. We're going to allege all the things, and we're going to move forward. And Erika is allowed to be sued in Illinois. That case is moving forward. Then there is Judge Durkin in Illinois with the Lion Air case. And Judge Durkin is like, I'm sorry. What the fuck? How did these clients not get paid? Time out. We're not doing any of this. I'm going to freeze your assets. I don't give a fuck what comes next. All of you are being held in contempt. Someone is paying these people back. And those contempt proceedings are still happening in Illinois. And more came out about that today. So, two bankruptcies, a lawsuit with Edelson PC against Erika Girardi and others, her company, other lawyers, Tom Girardi Keys, all the things. Then the Lion Air contempt hearing. But wait, there's more. Then the bankruptcy trustee, I need a chart. Then the bankruptcy trustee sued Erika inside the bankruptcy, which we knew was coming and happened a while ago. There was a special prosecutor got yeeted. There's a new special prosecutor. It's a whole situation. But Erika got sued. And that was when they were alleging the loans to Erika from Girardi Keys, the Amex bills being paid out of the law firm and all of it. And then there's a new motion filed by the trustee of the bankruptcy for the Girardi Keese law firm with regard to the lawsuit where they sued Erika essentially for conversion, taking law firm property and converting it to her own property, or Girardi taking law firm property and converting it to her property. And they're trying to disgorge that converted property to say, no, this property belongs to the law firm. And the more property we can bring back into the bankruptcy, the more that can go back to the $100 million plus in debts the law firm owes. And that is legal lenders and former clients that have claims. Erika Girardi's filed a claim there too. We're not going over that tonight. So that's where the earrings come up. In this new motion filed by the bankruptcy trustee with regard to the lawsuit against Erika Girardi inside of the bankruptcy to try to get property back from her that they are alleging was paid for by the law firm and therefore is law firm property, not Erika Girardi property. So Erika, honey, we would like you to give back the property. We want it back. We need to sell that shit. We sold the red panties. We need to sell the rest of it. You know, we know that Ryan Bailey got the panties. We know that Heather McDonald from Juicy Scoop got the coat rack. This is, yes, Emily, are you dramatically acting out a coat rack because you forgot the words? Yes. Now you know what this means. The coat rack. And now we are seeing litigation over the earrings. So they are trying to compel the earrings being given back. And let me pull that up. All right. So let's see. And I will say with all of this, before I get into it, I do not know what Erika knew and when. I do not know. I do not know what Erika knew and when. I'm not going to speculate on it. I am going to talk about the fuckery that Tom Girardi has pulled, because what there is a lot of fuckery. There is a lot of fuckery. So, no, that's the opposition. What I need is the order. Did I put it in the wrong spot? It looks like I put it in the wrong spot. So now I've got to go find it and pull it up because I've only got the response. Apologies. So with that, I don't know what Erika knew. And I don't know if any of us knew. We can speculate, but I don't know what Erika knew. And that is, I mean, that just is what it is. All right, let me pull up. We're just going to pull it up from Pacer again. Sorry, y'all. I apologize. I had it pulled up early when I told you it was a busy day and that I'm a professional. I had it totally pulled up earlier and I cannot find it anywhere. I can only find the response. So let me grab it again and we will just away from there. But I don't know what Erika knew and I don't know when she knew. And that doesn't mean that the property doesn't go back to the bankruptcy, but it doesn't mean that it does. I think it's a PR nightmare to not just return it personally. Like at some point, is it worth it? And that's a calculus between her and her attorney. And that's where we saw them immediately saying, look, we are putting these in trust and we will get to the trust in just a moment. Let me pull this down again. So, of course, you're going to be slow, computer. Why would you not be slow? Let's just save this so we don't have to do this again. We're just calling you that. Let's put you in here. And then I'll pull up a picture of the earrings. These are the earrings I think that they are. So let me pull them up. They were on all season. They're also the earrings that she's wearing in the thumbnail for today's video. Let's see if I can get a good picture of these on Google. She wore them all season. They were stunning in that they pulled her ears down all season long. But there are numerous pictures of her from different events. This was a Fenty runway wearing those earrings. They are quite large. Yeah. So there were these these earrings. The dinner party from hell they were on at the reunion. Those. They are very large. I mean, they're very large. So these were purchased for $750,000 back in 2007. We're going to get into the 2007 of it all in just a minute. And they are estimated to be worth like 1.3 to 1.4 million dollars. I don't know if it says how many carats and stuff they are, but let's get into that now because we're going to go through. Sorry, mods. I know the mods are like it's almost 2 hours. Mhm. Yep, sure is. Sorry. If you guys haven't given the mods some love, give the mods some love because we're gonna get through all of this. It's just gonna take a little time. You guys are like, they look kind of basic. They're a basic stud. They're just fucking huge. So we don't know how many carats. We're gonna see. All right. We're gonna see if it says. Maybe it won't. Maybe it will. All right. Notice of motion for an order to turn over personal property that they think belongs to the bankruptcy court. Let's see. On February 15th in courtroom 1668, the trustee is going to move that Erika has to turn over a pair of diamond earrings defendant's now estranged husband Tom Girardi purchased for $750,000 with funds from the Girardi Keese client trust account. Hey, Emily, can lawyers just like, purchase shit out of their trust accounts? No, they can't. Emily, that sounds improper. Notice of motion and motion is based on grounds that on March 7th, 2007, Girardi issued a check drawn on the Girardi Keese client trust account payable to M&M Jewelers in the amount of $750,000 for the purchase of diamond earrings. Girardi then concealed the theft by describing the purchase of the check on the GK Resulin trust account. This is the case that this was coming from. It described that on the ledger as cost. Costs for attorneys, just costs for attorneys are things like experts, court reporter for a deposition, transcripts, filing fees, copying fees, hard costs, not earrings. They're not a cost. They're not an accident reconstruction expert and the like. So he identified it. Oh, I should also say, because this might be helpful. Girardi, I think it is, so I'm going to say it. Don't explain it, Emily, just talk. Girardi works on contingency. So he takes his attorney's fees cost after a settlement is reached or a case is won. So if a case is won for $10 million, he will take his attorney's fees first. I still think costs should go first, but he will take his attorney's fees first. So whatever percentage they are, 33%, 40%, 35%, whatever it is, generally between 33 and 40 for him. He will take his attorney's fees first, 33 to 40% of the total. Then they take out their cost, hard cost, filing fees, expert fees, the actual cost of transactions. Then the rest of the money goes to the clients. Fees, costs, clients. So him moving these $750,000 check to cost means that it deducted the amount the clients were getting. Just take it out of your fees. Okay. So it was listed as a cost item, noting the payee to be M&M without further explanation. And then they go and put the case here if anyone wants to look up the case site. I finished one water. We're going to the next one. We're staying hydrated and we're not minding our business. We're going through everyone else's legal tea. All right. This is our business. It's public. So this is a matter of public interest if I've ever seen one. Lawyers doing this kind of shit is horrifying. All right. The diamond earrings were given to Erika, who now has possession of they believe. The RTA ledger evidences that that Girardi Keese was paid $15 million. That's $15 million. That says $15 million. Like, I know I'm dyslexic, but that says $15 million. $15 million for costs and $7.5 million in fees. The ending balance of the RTA is out of trust in the amount of $2 million. What were you doing for $15 million? But okay, $7 million in fees, $15 million in costs. Given that the funds used to purchase the diamond earrings came from the RTA, Erika has no legal or equitable right to the diamond earrings, and the same are legally and equitably valuable assets of the Girardi Keese bankruptcy. And the trustee can and should sell them under Section 363 of the Bankruptcy Code. Based on the foregoing, the trustees demanded the returns of the diamond earrings from Erika. As of the filing of this motion, Erika has refused to comply with the request of the trustee. And this is where the PR conversation comes in. At what point do you say, just give the earrings back, dude? But if Erika's like, I don't have to give the earrings back. And we'll see what they say soon. Catherine says that's negative. Yes, the client account ended up overdrawn. We'll talk about that later. You are correct. That's my apologies for reading that poorly. But yes, the account ends up overdrawn and we talk about it later. So the ending balance is out of trust in the amount of $2.8 million, negative $2.8 million. So thank you, chat, for clarifying so I can clarify and read things better. So they give notice due to COVID. It's going to be on Zoom. It's on February. How to get on Zoom, all the things. Notice is given, and here's the motion. Some of this will be duplicative and we'll zoom, and some of it won't. Don't worry, we're going to get to what happens to the earrings. This will be wrapped up in a bow before we leave here tonight, because I will tell you what's happened to the earrings. By this motion, the trustees requesting the earrings because Girardi Keese drew a check out of the client trust account to M&M. That's all in up above. Jurisdiction and venue, it's in the bankruptcy court. General background facts, Girardi went into bankruptcy. In 2010, Girardi was investigated by the California State Bar based upon a referral made by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals after finding Girardi and his co-counsel, Walter Lack. There are jokes, I will not make them. Misled the district court and Ninth Circuit in affidavits they filed in attempting to enforce a putative judgment against the wrong party. The State Bar initiated an investigation, which investigation was terminated after several months. No further action was taken by the State Bar. We hear that a lot with regard to this. Oh, I'm sorry, my nose. Every time I stream, I always mean to do allergy things and then I forget. Erika is a self-professed actor, songwriter, and author. Ooh, there's a footnote about Erika being an author. In 2018, Gallery Books published her quote, unquote, autobiography. Shady with the quotes. Her autobiography. Do they think she's lying about her autobiography? Why is autobiography in quotes? Are they saying it's not factual? No! Siri, shush. Do they think that it's not factual? I've got questions. Anyway, her quote unquote autobiography, Erika Jane Pretty Mess. That's a funny footnote. That's a sassy footnote. I didn't even do it in sassy footnote voice. I apologize to everyone who's disappointed. We will bring it up soon. And a mainstay on the hit television reality show, The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, RHOBH. Erika and Girardi married in 2000, 21 years later and 2 months prior to the filing of the involuntary bankruptcy. In this case, Erika filed for divorce. Events leading up to the filing of the involuntary petitions and appointment of the trustee, the Lion Air crash, this is the Lion Air case. This is the Edelson PC motion to show cause. Then the bankruptcies, which we've gone over and we don't need to go over again. The State Bar proceedings on March 30th, 2021, the State Bar filed notice. They've since recommended disbarment. The Supreme Court of California hasn't done that yet, but it's coming. The trustee investigation into the business affairs. This is new tea. Upon her appointment, the trustee commenced an investigation into the business affairs of Girardi Keese. Among other things, the trustee hired Development Specialist Inc., DSI Consulting, a forensic accounting / management consulting firm, and Daphne Mason as a records paralegal to audit the books and records of Girardi Keese, footnote 8, their website. During the investigation, the following documents were found among the business records of Girardi Keese. A letter written by Thomas Girardi dated July 6, 2012 to Miss Zinzu, a California franchise tax Miss Zinzu, California Franchise Tax Board, and a declaration of Arid Michael Menzicillin. Did I pronounce that like it was an antibiotic? I apologize. I didn't mean to. I think I pronounced that awfully. Arid Michael M. And a declaration of Daphne Mason. Okay. Those are attached. Good. A March 2nd, 2007 check drawn on the Girardi Trust account in the amount of $750,000 payable to M&M Jewelers. A Girardi Keese trust ledger for the Resulin mass tort action with the entry of the March 2nd, 2007 in the amount of $750,000 payable to M&M for, quote, costs without further description. What's interesting is that we'll get to the franchise tax board. That's the California State Tax Agency. It's the California IRS. And with that, we'll talk about tax stuff. The letter to Mr. Girardi sent to the franchise tax board tells the story of how Erika wound up with the diamond earrings with a 2007 value of $750,000. A guesstimate of its value today is about $1.4 million. Ooh, footnote. Assuming Girardi paid fair market value for the diamond earrings in 2007, the trustee anticipates that the value of the diamond earrings has increased substantially. The trustee intends to retain an expert diamond appraiser to establish the value of the diamond earrings once the same have been delivered to the trustee. Internet information tells us that the value of gem quality natural diamonds increases by 6% per year. Diamond prices and trends over the years. Pentragems.com. Given 14 years have passed, the diamond earrings may have increased in value by 84%. Cool. Y'all, Girardi's 2007 theft of $750,000 from the GK client trust account to pay for Erika's diamond earrings. These, by the way, this is the wrongdoing of Tom Girardi. Erika was the beneficiary. Tom was the one who wrote this check. As presented by Mr. Girardi in his July 6, 2012 letter, in 2007, the Girardis' home was broken into while they were away for a 3-day weekend. Their home was broken into in 2007. And if their home was broken into in 2007, wouldn't they have added cameras into the home? We know that the entire time, the whole ass time that they have been married, they have been living in the Pasadena mansion. Tom Girardi lived in that mansion with his previous 2 wives too. That is his home. If your home was broken into in 2007, and then you went on a reality show where you showed the value of the possessions that you owned at that home, wouldn't you have cameras in the home? And if you had cameras in the home, wouldn't they have caught the burglars that came in and hurt Tom, and then he had to have surgery on his eye, and then somebody flipped a car? Wouldn't there be cameras? And if they did have cameras, then why is the story about the break-in when the kid flipped the car and the Erika filed for divorce? Then why is there no footage of it? Why don't we know more? I have questions. Zach and Adam and I were talking about that the other day. I have questions. The home had been completely ransacked. However, I think that means all. I think there's a word missing. Almost of Erika's jewelry were stored in a massive safe that could not be opened or moved. It was probably cemented into the floor because it was probably cemented into the floor, which is not uncommon with celebrities and people with wealth like that. Let's see. The home had been completely ransacked. Erika's jewelry was stored in a massive safe that could not be opened or moved. Erika, however, left a pair of diamond earrings in a little cup in her dressing room. According to Girardi, the stolen diamond earrings cost $800,000 and were not insured. Hmm. Weird. That's a cost of like a really nice home in anywhere but Los Angeles and maybe New York. $800,000 earrings that weren't insured. It just, it smells a little funny to me. It just, you just leave $800,000 earrings in a cup. Just, oopsie. Girardi immediately replaced the earrings, purchasing a similar style piece from M&M Jewelers for $750,000. Although Girardi stated in his letter to Miss Zinzou that he paid for the diamond earrings from a Comerica $19 million line of credit. Oh, a $19 million line of credit. Oh, okay. The statement was a lie. Oh, good. We're lying to the Franchise Tax Board, or we're alleged to be lying to the Franchise Tax Board. These are allegations and shade. Though I will say the only shade so far is the autobiography. In fact, they say the replacement of $750,000 diamond earrings were paid for by a check dated March 2nd, 2007, drawn against the Girardi Keys client trust account. Okay, that's fair. They have proof that it's a lie. They're like, no, it didn't come from the credit. We have the check, and I think it's attached. The check was co-signed by Girardi Keys partner James O'Callahan. James, you co-signed a check from a client trust account to a jeweler? Really? Because it's so interesting. Because in the Lion Air case, Judge Durkin keeps asking Griffin and Lira, other co-counsel, other attorneys that worked at Girardi Keys, why they didn't know and what they know and what they didn't know. But it seems that someone at this firm kind of knew, because you co-signed a check. Was the check not made out? Did you not know who the check was going to? Did you not think to ask who $750,000 was going to? You weren't curious? Not even a little bit? A lot of money. Exhibit 5. To hide his embezzlement, Girardi entered an accounting entry in the Girardi Keys RTA ledger dated March 2nd, identifying the money as a cost of litigation. Somebody knew. The ledger further evidences that Girardi Keys paid itself $15 million as repayment for costs and another $7.5 million for fees. Upon discovering the fraud, the trustee made a demand upon Erika through her counsel to return the diamond earrings to the trustee. As of filing this motion, the earrings have not been returned. The diamond earrings are the property of the bankruptcy estate. The bankruptcy estate includes all legal and equitable interests. So this is the law to back up their allegations that these are under the rules of bankruptcy. These go back to Erika. They're saying Erika cannot claim ownership of the earrings. Girardi paid $750,000 for the earrings in 2007 with a check from the trust account. Girardi stole $750,000 from the trust account to pay for the earrings. Girardi's embezzlement. Girardi's crime is embezzlement. California Penal Code 506 provides every attorney entrusted with or having in his control property for the use of any other person who fraudulently appropriates it in any use or purpose not in the due and lawful execution of his trust, or secrets it with a fraudulent intent to appropriate it to such use or purpose other than for the purpose with what she received it, is guilty of embezzlement. Yes. Okay. Thank you for the definition. Moreover, Girardi Keys paid itself $15 million allegedly as repayment of costs. Moreover, all of the payments except one were paid in round numbers of either $1 million or $500,000. Because normally costs don't come out to round numbers. Girardi Keys also paid itself $7.25 million in fees. Yet the ending balance of the RTA shows a $2.8 million deficit out of trust. The fact that the RTA was overdrawn by $2.83 million is sufficient evidence to support a conclusion of misappropriation. The thing is, I think that was happening because these costs were getting put out to the other accounts that he was taking money from to pay back, which is why at the beginning I said this is running like a Ponzi scheme. New money comes in, old money goes out. It is also well said that stolen property remains stolen property, as a thief cannot convey valid title to an innocent purchaser of stolen property. The same would be true if the thief, in this case Girardi, gifted the proceeds of his embezzlement to another, in this case Erika. So they're arguing, again, she cannot be the rightful owner. Erika must turn over the earrings to the trustee. Law. Alternatively, the court should issue a writ of possession entitling the trustee to obtain possession of the earrings. And then the law, why they think the court can do it that way. The statute of limitations, they're talking about the rule of essentially delayed discovery. Like, hey, we didn't know this. So the statute of limitations doesn't preclude the trustee from recovering the earrings, is their argument. The accrual date is delayed until the plaintiff is aware of the injury. Again, delayed discovery. The Girardi's conversion, and again, conversion is taking the property of another and making it your own. So taking the money out of the trust, buying the earrings, and giving them to her. And then they're talking about the delayed discovery, which is why the statute of limitations does not apply. And for the foregoing reasons, Erika should return the earrings, they say. They then did a declaration of Trustee Miller, a declaration of the investigator who found the letter to the tax board and the other things, including the check. Let's see if the check is attached. This is from the other investigator, duly licensed, attorney duly licensed, know the declaration to be true. Around November 11th, 2012, the trustee requested I assume the role as special litigation counsel. Prior litigation counsel having been yoted. A formal substitution of attorney was filed on November 11th. So this is the new special litigation counsel. After the submission, I have had several communications both by telephone and email with counsel for Erika Girardi, Evan Borges. It's Evan C. Borges. Us that use our middle initials, we love our middle initials. We're deeply attached to them. Mr. Borges and I have known each other for over 20 years when we were both involved in the First Alliance mortgage bankruptcy proceedings. During our conversations, including a Rule 26 meeting, we have discussed the facts in case, so they had a meet and confer. They asked for the diamond earrings. I subsequently wrote and demanded the diamond earrings. As of the filing of this application, the diamond earrings have not been turned over. Okay. And let's see. Where's the check? I guess it is not attached. It's attached to something because I've seen the Bravo docket had it. I'm not sure which motion it's attached to, but it could be the other one. I can go hunt it down. But we're going to go to the response from Erika. And if you guys don't follow the Bravo docket, they have a great podcast and a great Instagram account. So you guys are like, what happened to the other special counsel? Well, they were yeeted. It's alleged that they were fired. They say that they weren't. Multiple others have said that they were. So we're going with yeeted or yoded. Yoded in the past tense. Yoded the past tense of yeet. Preliminary opposition to plaintiff's motion for order to turn over personal property. The trustee's motion fails to disclose critical facts and is based on an incomplete investigation into events of approximately 15 years ago in March 2007 when Erika Girardi innocently received a gift of earrings from her now estranged husband, who at the time was extraordinarily wealthy. Or was he? Because if you're extraordinarily wealthy, why did the account end up negative $2.8 million? Where did all the money go? First, Erika is completely innocent. Not even the trustee alleges that Erika knew the source of funds that her wealthy husband used to buy her a gift of earrings 15 years ago. Second, as the trustee admits, Erika, through counsel, has already responded in writing that pending a full investigation, and if there is still a dispute at that point, then until entry of a final court order, Erika will agree and has agreed to hold and not transfer or sell the earrings to maintain the status quo. Those should be held in trust, and they are saying they are being held in trust. As a showing of good faith, Erika will provide the earrings to a third-party escrow to be held in trust pending the trustee finishing her investigation, and if there is a dispute at that point, until a final order is entered determining the parties' rights. Look, here's what I'm saying. They're being held by a third party. Let an appraiser come in. Let somebody just come in and confirm. It's going to set everybody at ease in this thing. Just let somebody come in and do a valuation of the earrings and make sure they are diamond earrings. Just do that. Because wouldn't that be some shit? If they're like, oh, here's the earrings in trust, and then they're not diamonds. Wouldn't that be some shit? And what if Erika didn't know they were not diamonds? Then we've got a whole do we have a whole money laundering thing going on? That's all speculation, wild speculation. That's not allegations. That's just maybe these should be appraised while this is going on. It doesn't seem to hurt. Third, the trustee's evidence, which is inadmissible hearsay based on no statement from anyone with personal knowledge and which amounts to random Girardi Keese records. They have the check, though. Okay. And which amounts to random Girardi Keese records that the trustee stated only months ago were in complete disarray and unreliable. But a canceled check becomes a bit more reliable when you have the bank records to back it up and then the ledgers. Cast doubt over the allegation that the Girardi Keese funds used to pay for the earrings were stolen by Girardi Keese from clients as opposed to property of the Girardi Keese in the form of fees due. Look, if they were fees due, then transfer the fees out of your trust account. Don't label it as costs, and then pay it out of your fees. Pay it out of your operating account. I don't know if it's a proper business expense. I would argue not, but pay it out of your operating account, not directly out of the trust account. Specifically, the trustees, quote, evidence. The way they do it, it makes me think of evidence. I don't know. I think that's what they're trying to convey. I feel like that's how I hear it in my head. The evidence shows that Girardi Keese received settlement payments in excess of, does that say $66 million? Am I reading things wrong? Am I hungry? What? What? Specifically, the trustees' evidence shows that Girardi Keese received settlement payments in excess of $66 million. Based on the same ledger, the trustee alleges that Girardi Keese received a total of more than $22.5 million in fees and costs. That is approximately 34% of the gross settlement payments. Okay, so the total settlement was $66 million, and then they received 34% in fees. That's what they're saying. The trustee, however, did not disclose the critical fact of the percentage contingent fee setting aside costs due to Girardi Keese under the fee agreement. If, for example, the contingent fee percentage was 35%, the total fee due would have been $23.2 million. That is more than the amount Girardi Keese received per the trustee. They are really arguing that that might not have been costs and that money might have been owed to Girardi Keese. And if that money was owed to Girardi Keese, then it's properly earned fees, and then he can buy a gift for Erika and she doesn't have to turn him over. I want to see all of it. I'm curious. And if the account ended up overdrawn, how much did all of the plaintiffs in that case get? That was like a diabetes medication case. That's going to be a lot of plaintiffs. How much did each plaintiff get? I need to do a deep dive on that. Did the plaintiffs get paid anything? Or did all the attorneys just cycle fees? Weeks ago, I skipped. In other words, on a motion where the trustee bears the burden of proof, it is completely unknown whether the total funds received by Girardi Keese were otherwise due to it under its fee agreements, in which case the funds would not have been, quote, stolen. They would have been Girardi Keys property. How weird is it to have to argue to justify the shit that Tom Girardi was pulling? That's got to be a weird day at work. Weeks ago, counsel for Girardi requested that the trustee provide at least what the trustee would represent are exemplar fee agreements between Girardi Keys and its clients in the Resulin litigation. The trustee has not provided this information, instead opting to file a motion on minimum notice in an apparent effort to jam Ms. Girardi and prevent her from conducting discovery in the matter. Don't step on my keyboard. In a matter involving events of 15 years ago at a law firm where she had no role. Friend, did you want to say hi to the chat? Is that why you're here? Fred's like, hello, chat. All right. He steps on my keyboard and it just makes everything crazy. It just makes everything crazy. All right. All right. Thus, the hearing on the motion should be continued to allow Girardi to conduct discovery into the transactions at issue 15 years ago in which she had no part, but as to which the trustee, equally without information, is recklessly jumping to conclusions in an effort to make Ms. Girardi responsible for the conduct of others, including her now estranged husband, who is under a court-ordered conservatorship and allegedly mentally incompetent. Fourth, the law matters. The law imposes statutes of limitations for compelling public policy reasons, including the difficulty in locating reliable documents and testimony a decade and a half after the fact. More importantly, the trustee completely ignores well-established law that the trustee stands in the shoes of Girardi Keys, including when it comes to knowledge of past events and past conduct. Well, that's interesting. Because if the trustee is standing in the shoes of Girardi Keys knew where the money went. The check was written, the money was written out to where it was supposed to go. Like the money went where it was supposed to go. It was not legally supposed to go there, but the law firm knew where the money went. So it's not, they're arguing it's not later discovered because the law firm would have known because they did the thing. Interesting. Factually, one of two scenarios is true. Either one, the funds that Girardi Keys used to buy the earrings in 2007 were funds to which Girardi Keys otherwise was entitled as fees, or two, the funds were client property. In either event, however, the prior knowledge of Girardi Keys, including through Tom Girardi and through Tom Girardi partner O'Callahan, who also signed the check in question, yeah, we got questions, is imputed by law to the trustee. Which eviscerates application of any delayed discovery rule. Thus, the Girardi Keys trustee's claim in 2022 to earrings bought by Girardi Keys 15 years ago in 2007 using a check signed by two of the firm's partner is time barred by the statutes of limitations as well as the statute of repose, which comes up so rarely. Specifically, when a trustee brings an action to recover property of an estate, the trustee stands in the shoes of the debtor. Thus, the trustee has no rights greater than the debtor and is subject to the same defenses, including statutes of limitations. Accordingly, the debtor's knowledge is imputed to the trustee when calculating the statute of limitations. Oh, that's going to be a problem. Yeah, that's why Erika didn't turn them over yet. PR or no PR, the reason Erika didn't turn them over yet is because her attorney's like, they're not going to be able to get these. That's interesting. Fifth, the trustee should facilitate and not avoid full transparency, both as the pre-bankruptcy conduct of Girardi Keys and the post-bankruptcy administration of Girardi Keys by the trustee. Under bankruptcy law, as enforced by the DOJ's office and the United States trustee, a bankruptcy estate must be transparent to ensure integrity of the system. A federal bankruptcy trustee has the highest of fiduciary duties at a bare minimum and must comply with all applicable laws. Recently, Erika, through counsel, raised with counsel for the trustee whether, in fact, the trustee has administrated the affairs of the debtor, a law firm, in accordance with governing law. Oh, there's issues. After Erika first raised the issues in a different context, the trustee fired her prior special litigation counsel, Ronald Richards. Next, after Erika raised the same issues on Friday, January 21st, 2022, the trustee filed her motion. Erika will not be silenced. Woof. This is why I like going through the two motions together, because you read the first one and you're like, fuck that, give him the earrings. And you read the second one, you're like, ooh, there might be some legal issues there. And I said statute of limitations at the beginning, but there might be some issues there. Because if it was co-signed, I don't know how you argue around George, a rare George appearance. Can you say hi to the Lawnards? It's snowing. I know. I know. You're going to jump right down because you hate it when I hold you on camera. Hi. But the Lawnards love to see your face. George is all ginger. And George is all just like, nope. George is like, please, 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 please let me down. Please let me down. Please let me down. You can stay there, George. It's fine. You're fine. Yeah, you're fine. You never like being on camera, but you're welcome to stay there. I now have fur. So as I was saying before I got distracted by a rare George sighting, a very rare George sighting. You got both paw nerds this evening, guys. I don't know how they argue, and it'll be interesting to see what they respond. I don't know how they argue. The trustee argues that the law firm didn't have knowledge because two attorneys at the law firm signed it. So they knew what they were doing. But that was 15 years ago. So they knew what they were doing. So statute of limitations is going to be an issue. Oof. Because I don't like it at all. Like Erika has the right and the absolute right to protect her legal rights. Because at the end of the day, she might need those earrings to sell off to pay the IRS. Like, I'm not so sure the IRS isn't going to come knocking at the end of all of this. I think they probably will. Especially if this kind of stuff was going on and there's letters back and forth to the franchise tax board about there was a break-in and then there's a replacement and who knows. I have questions. So Erika is going to be left holding a crater of debt, I assume. Based on the personal bankruptcy, she's the co-debtor over there. Well, no, she's not. She's co-debtor on a lot of the personal things that they're going to have to pay back. Tom Girardi's not going to work to pay them back. Those can be attached to her. So with that, she might need those earrings to pay for the things that are going to come for her. So her attorney might just be like, no, you are fighting to hold on to every asset that you have because you are going to need it so that you can survive the crater or potential crater of debt that's coming your way, especially since debts are not going to be discharged in bankruptcy in the personal bankruptcy. It means when the personal bankruptcy is over, co-debtors who can come sue her for the community property. So this is not done. But I think that's why they're fighting for every asset that she has, even though it feels gross, because writing a check directly out of a client trust account is grounds for him to be disbarred. And he should have been, it seems, over and over again. But that's why there's an investigation into the state bar, because he was doing, the LA Times has done such great reporting on this, but he was having parties for the state bar and having, professional and friendly relationships with people. And maybe that's why it got swept under the rug. So now they are absolutely investigating. There's a private law firm investigating what the state bar was up to. And I'm sure what they're going to find is there was fuckery afoot, but that all the people that were engaged in the fuckery are gone and there's nothing that can be done anyway. And Tom Girardi's old and we need some new policies so it doesn't happen again. But there's no way to extend the statute of limitation if, and again, I don't practice bankruptcy law. So if the trustee has to know what the law firm knew, the law firm knew. There wasn't fraud perpetrated on the law firm. There was probably malfeasance. And I think it looks like there was embezzlement, but they knew that it was happening. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. All right. But it doesn't mean it's legally wrong. It means I can have feelings and the law can be the law at the same time. Erika, a non-attorney who had no role in managing Girardi Keese, should not have to be the one arguing for full investigations and discovery into what Girardi Keese did in the past. Erika has agreed to maintain the status quo and will deliver the earrings to third-party escrow to avoid any false urgency. The trustee seeks to blame Erika for events 15 years ago at a law firm in which Erika has no part. I mean, I see your point, Evan. It just feels icky. The shit that Tom Girardi did was so gross, and Erika benefited. That doesn't mean it's her fault, and that is what they are arguing. It doesn't mean she did it. I would just The motion is about a gift of earrings a wife innocently received 15 years ago from her now estranged and then extraordinarily wealthy husband as a replacement for a pair of earrings gifted to her years prior. Statutes of limitations and statutes of repose exist for sound policy reasons. Erika has an absolute right to conduct discovery on the motion, whether within the adversary, or if it is deemed a contested matter, which requires a continuance for the hearing while maintaining the status quo. So that's written awkwardly at the end, but I get it. Like I get their arguments. It just all feels so gross, but it feels gross because of what Tom Girardi did. And I can understand. I bet Erika is just fuming watching the coverage of this, being like, it's not my fault. But she benefited. And the things Tom did are just it's so abhorrent. So, but I also get it. It's like if the statute of limitations is passed and she has legal grounds to argue statute of limitations, she kind of has to because they don't know. And I've said this the entire time. They don't know what other shoe is going to fall that she is going to have to pay. And I get it. It's just, I just don't like it. We should get to questions. I have questions. You have questions. We have questions. There's questions. I have questions. Do you have questions? We have questions. I'm going to get to a few questions. I can hear it in my voice, but I can feel it in my mouth. I am going to get to this question first by not paid by anyone. That's like hashtag not sponsored. I love it. Why doesn't Hayley just change her name? Well, she doesn't have to yet because she is still in her non-compete period where she can't do anything. So I think she will design under another brand name. The court told her she could not launch a new name. That's where the injunction came in. She can't launch a new name or a new brand because she's still under the non-compete. So I think that she will change her name for professional purposes. And she might change it to a girl you know. Maybe it's just her way of being cheeky. And this whole time she's just going to be like, this is a dress designed by a girl you know. And that will be the new brand. But she can change the name she designs under after the non-compete's over. She doesn't have to change her legal name. She can go to Starbucks and order. She can have credit cards in her name. She just can't design wedding dresses and sell them under that name. So it couldn't be a girl you know by Hayley Paige. That would be using the name that is trademarked by JLM that she sold. Hopefully that makes sense. Avaloma said, since the $750K was stolen from the GK Resulin trust account, shouldn't the funds go straight back to the Resulin family? I don't know if that is a family. I need to Google, or if that is the name of the medication in that case. Would the theft and recovery of money supersede the broader bankruptcy? Well, it is a great question. However, it would go back to the law firm in general because it would be a law firm asset if depending on how it's accounted for. But they would need to file, the plaintiffs from that case would need to file a claim with the bankruptcy because otherwise it would be bankruptcy. So hopefully that makes sense. Alzomniac, I did that terribly. Alsomniac, I hope I got that right. Isn't her non-compete like only one more year? Yes, I think it is. A girl you know sounds cute. I think so too. I think it's cheeky and she's been using it. So I think she could do that. Hayley Paige is going to have to bounce from this and find a way to design under another designer name. I know she's frustrated with the contract that she signed, but those contracts are not illegal. She's allowed to sign that contract. You're allowed to contract away the rights to your name. You're allowed to sell your image. You're allowed to sell a lot of things. I mean, have you guys been following the story of the influencer that was selling farts and went to the hospital because they thought they were having a heart attack and then it turned out to be gas because they were gassing it up so they could sell farts? People are allowed to sell things, all kinds of things. So you're allowed to sell your name. You are, as intellectual property. And that is why designing under a pseudonym, like authors that use pseudonyms, make a lot of sense. If you want to design under your name, then this is a real possibility if you sell your name. And we know that other designers have hated this and hated the way it feels. So, Kelsey, great question. Couldn't she just be designer formerly known as Hayley Paige? No, that would violate her contract. So it's any derivative. So she couldn't. It's like Prince couldn't be the artist formerly known as Prince to sell things. He couldn't say it. Others could say it about him, but it's why he changed his name to a symbol. And we talked Dawn Shoot. We talked about that earlier. So, question, while the Hayley Paige case is still ongoing, can either party post on the social media accounts in question? Right now, Holly, they can. They're under JLM's control. So the Miss Hayley Paige accounts, JLM controls and is allowed to post on. And if Instagram's back up, we can go look at it real quick. Instagram wasn't pulling up on the it's back up. All right. The first thing that popped up was Demi Lovato says their vibrator is better than their ex. Well, tonight is not sponsored by Adam and Eve, but should be. And, I don't know if that's fair to the ex because, adult things are made to be adult things. Let's see. Miss Hayley Paige. You can tell what I was researching today by what I was searching around on the Instagrams. So this is her act. This is the account controlled by JLM. I can't make this any bigger. Why is everything being dumb? All right. There we go. Thank you, computer. I didn't mean to call you dumb. Things were just acting dumb. So Miss Hayley Paige, this is the logoing. I think it used to be a picture of her. MissHayleyPaige.com. Official page of Hayley Paige Bridal, managed by Miss Hayley Paige social team. So it's very clear who's posting on it. And it is all bridal. And these are dress designs that are part of her dress line that JLM is selling. And JLM is still entitled to sell. So that is all that. I think they took down some of the stuff of her, the older stuff, because she had interspersed in the wedding stuff of her. I don't know if they took it all down. I don't know when. I know for a while when I was covering this a while back that there were comments turned off because people were just flooding the account with negativity and frustration at the situation based on Hayley Paige's videos on social. So I don't know if they took down like stuff like this. I don't think would be a brand post. So I wonder if these were things she posted because this is from 2020 before all this happened. So I don't know what they took down and what they left up and if they took it down or deleted it or just hid it or what. But that's the account. You guys can go account sleuth on it if you like because it's there. So let me continue. Let's see. Can Hayley reverse her name like Oprah did with Harpo? No, because it would be a derivative of her name and the contract says any derivative thereof. So even if she went like HP or something like that, it would still be a derivative. I think whatever she uses should be totally separate from this. And I also think just mental, emotionally, clearly this has been devastating for her. Even though she contracted it, she regrets it. We've all had things in our life that we've regretted that have stayed with us. And I think that she probably should make as clean of a break and go into a completely different direction as she can. I think that might be just better than continuing to fight this losing battle. I don't think she should stop litigating if she feels that she needs to litigate, but she's just going to keep banging her head against the wall with this. So trying to be cheeky with the name and then having to go through litigation again because they're like, that's a derivative would just suck. Like I don't know, call it Purple or Bumblebee or something, just a different direction completely, I think is going to be the best. My note. Every time I stream. Can you give your opinion about Jamie Spears' lawyer wanting to question Britney about his email wanting to get Britney in for a deposition? I talked about that earlier. I think it was addressed by Britney Law Army saying saying they overheard Weingarten saying, well, I'm still going to fuck with his head when I send that letter. I don't think it's going to go very far. There's obviously there are games afoot, and we will see what comes of it. But it's question her as to what, and I haven't gone through the letter, but let's see if it's up on Twitter. Noted Your Honor normally has everything. And so theirs is a Twitter account I always look at because they have all of the tea all of the time. They've got the new post. Let's see what they've got. We'll go Twitter sleuth a little while we're answering questions. How about that? We'll go see. The Britney comment is already up. Not surprised. There we go. Questions that need answers. Is Alex Weingarten engaging in actions for free? If not, who is paying? Britney's dad, James Yeated. I can't even say his name. Yeated wants her to sit down for the deposition, despite twice dodging his own. The best thing he can do is move on, but instead he is continuing to humiliate himself. A source exclusively told me. That source. That sounds. Look, this is just me reading things on the internet, telling you my thoughts. But instead he is continuing to humiliate himself. Sounds like something that Rosengart would say to me. Also, it seems to me, my opinion, my observation, that team conservatorship, Yeated's side, everything that comes out from Yeated's side comes out to TMZ. It seems that a lot of the things that come out that are more from Britney's camp come out from page 6. So I'm not surprised that this is an article on page 6 with regard to the letter. So maybe we should just timestamp this talking about Britney's deposition real quick. Thank you, Tech. Since we're going to talk about it for a minute anyway. Y'all asked. So why not? Page 6 with your ads. Let's scrub this real quick. Britney Spears' estranged father, James Spears, wants her to sit down for a deposition but the pop star's team is balking at the idea, given he has repeatedly dodged his own. Of course they are. Jamie has already been suspended as Britney's conservator and disgraced, a source exclusively told Page 6. The best thing he can do is, when everyone says you're dead, lay down. The best thing he can do is move on, but instead he is continuing to humiliate himself and trying to harass and bully his daughter. He should be ashamed. Jamie's lawyer, Alex Weingarten, sent an email to Britney's high-powered attorney, Matthew Rosengart, on Wednesday. We see that Page 6 likes. Notice there's no honorifics. There's no descriptors for Weingarten. Jamie's lawyer, Weingarten, sent an email to Britney's high-powered and well-esteemed, delightful attorney, Rosengart, who needs some black shoes for the next court appearance. I'm just saying. On Wednesday, requested to schedule a date for the Toxic singer to give sworn testimony. Quote, we write to advise that we intend to depose your client. Good luck with that intention. We intend to depose your client and would like to discuss a mutually agreeable date to conduct the deposition. My answer would be like, I agree that you can depose my client, perhaps, after your client is deposed. I acquiesce to set a date with you. I will set a date with you after your client's deposition is complete. And then we can have this conversation again. Either that or I'd be like, you've got to be kidding me. This is never happening. Pound sand. Nuts. Period. Thank you for your consideration. Let's see. Jamie's lawyer then acknowledged that his client has yet to sit for a deposition on his own. 2 separate requests from Rosengart in recent months. Of course, we will also discuss scheduling Mr. Spears' own deposition. This is so Spears. This is the entire time that this has been going on. It's been this tit for tat from James Spears, and he keeps finding lawyers that want to play this game too. It's like, well, if you do this, then I'll do this. But if you don't do what I want, I'm not doing anything you want. With these gaslighting, vaguely threatening, ridiculous, like, well, I'm not going to do what you want unless you do what I want. Ugh. Weingarten suggested early March for the depositions and agreed that Jamie 69 could go first, with Britney 40 following him later that week in the depositions. Jamie served as Britney's conservator. We know sources told TMZ that Weingarten intends to question the Grammy winner who co-parents her sons with Kevin Federline about issues including child safety and possible drug use. Well, of course they told TMZ that. Are you kidding me with this? However, a second source close to Britney told Page Six, Britney doesn't use drugs, plain and simple. This is just another tactic to make her look like the bad guy here. Maybe it worked in 2008, but it won't work now. As for child safety, a source told us, Jamie should look in the mirror. He's the one whose grandsons have a domestic violence restraining order against him after an incident between him and Britney's son, Preston, in August 2019. Page Six reached out to Weingarten for additional comment. Rosengart could not immediately be reached. Britney and her family have been at war over the conservatorship, which controlled her personal affairs and estimated $60 million estate. So, what do I think? That this is more legal wrangling. And this is more of the gaslighting stuff that was going on in court with, well, James Spears set in motion, I'll peacefully and cooperatively transition, and now he's refusing to sit for a deposition. How much are you cooperating, bro? None. Oh, welcome to being a member. Thank you for the super sticker. Question. Thank you for hashing it with a question because it's easier for me to see. I keep reaching for my empty water. Question. I wonder if at this point JLM really benefiting from having her brand name if her brand loyal followers know what's up? Trisha Lynn, that is for them to decide. I don't know. Maybe. So maybe. Question. Did you see the Alexa Nicholas interview on Sloan? I did not. I have not seen much this week. It's been a lot of work and not a lot of anything else. A lot of work and a lot of family and not much else. Question. Does SY Say Yes to the Dress have anything to do with JLM? I think that JLM was one of the brands featured on Say Yes to the Dress, but I don't know if there's like a corporate connection other than an agreement, because I know that because of JLM, that's how Hayley Paige ended up on Say Yes to the Dress, but I don't know more about that. Did I bing? I don't know. Tech, will you let me know? I don't know. You guys might be able to see it on the front end. Sometimes it goes faster than this. Let's see. Thank you for the super sticker. Question. Since the check was paid to Eminem rather than Eminem Jeweler, can the partner plead ignorance or does he have a fiduciary responsibility? There is a fiduciary responsibility. Let me go look at the check. I don't know what it was attached to. And again, it's been a crazy week, but let me see if I can find it real quick because the Bravo Docket had it on their Instagram. And I will share that with you. If you guys aren't following their Instagram, it really is great. And they get to housewife stuff sometimes sooner than I do when I'm covering other stuff as well. So let's see what the check says. The check does just say Eminem. So, I mean, they have a fiduciary responsibility to know where it's going, and that's a lot of money to not know. So this was filed as an exhibit. So I need to pull the exhibits pages. I didn't. They normally download together. There's probably another item number. Let's see. I tagged you in a story, but I'm on a private account, but I DM'd you about Lawyer Cat popping into a Zoom call. Was that you? I popped onto a Zoom as Lawyer Cat with our members, but I did not pop into a court Zoom call as Lawyer Cat, nor would I. So it depends what the Zoom call was, but unlikely. Let's see. I'm going to do, oh my God, I've got to get going. It's 10 o'clock. I still have to pack, which I hate. Oh, we're close to binging. Thank you, Tech. No, we have not binged. We are very close to binging to 197. So anyway, let me. Oh, I need to go pull up our results from Court of Public Opinion and do those. And then we are going to have to roll. If I missed super chats earlier, I'm going to see if I can sweep those real quick. And then we are going to COPO. And then we got to GO. We got to go. Because your girl's got to be up really early. And I'm not going to sleep well because I never sleep well the night before I travel. 'Cause anxiety is why. Isn't it fun? Let's see. Thank you, Samantha, for the super sticker. Evie said, if a criminal defendant goes pro se and says he will testify in his defense, is it his standby counsel that asks him questions on the stand? Um, sometimes the court will just say, so tell us what you need to tell us, and then let the other side object. So there's not like somebody sitting on the stand going, please tell us your name. My name is. So it depends on the court, but it can just be the criminal defendant saying, let me tell you what happened on this day. At this time, this happened. So Bridget said, look at that. I've been a member for 1 year and 0 days. Happy 1 year anniversary, Bridget. Miss Ashali said, hey, can you give your opinion? Oh, I got to that one. Thank you for the super chat, KMD. I didn't see anything typed in there, but thank you for the super chat. So I'm sorry you're anxious the night before travel, but I'm glad I'm not alone. Oh, I don't like it either, but I also don't mind sharing my little quirks because I'm sure it's you guys too. I'm sure it's you guys too. Not, I mean, I know I'm not unique in the quirky little things that are like, I get anxious the night before I travel and I don't like packing and I don't know. I'm trying to not worry about it. My wardrobe's mostly black. Like what? It's not that hard. It's just overpacking and not bringing too much, but then not having enough. And Mystic Dina said, why do some lawyers treat the client as if the client works for the lawyer rather than the lawyer works for the client? I cannot tell you. Lawyers like doctors have varying types of bedside manner and varying sizes of egos. And I think that there are some lawyers who do not check themselves before they wreck themselves, but the client is the one paying the bills and the client works for a lawyer. So and this is just for anyone, if you ever work with a lawyer and you feel like you are not being well represented or heard, you can fire them and find someone else. I realize that sometimes that can be expensive, but you can fire them and find someone else. They work for you. And it doesn't matter what their reputation is. We see that in the Girardi case. Girardi had a reputation for being the guy. And now we see what that is, don't we? And now we see what that is. Pink Jinx, this is a great question. Have I missed the video on the Josh Duggar appeal? No. I have not gotten to the new trial motion yet. I want to cover it when the government's response is in, because then we get both sides at once. And because I don't always love, I don't know, the Duggar stuff is like, there's not a lot there. It's a pro forma motion. So once the government responds, I will do both motions at once. So it is also not my, I don't know. We've had so much moving so quickly. It's been hard to find time for everything in the amount of cases that I'm covering right now. So that is why I keep saying, oh, we're going to get to it. And then something else happens. Or I get fascinated by something else, like the lawsuit with Alec Baldwin, the new defamation suit. I was curious. I was like, I really want to take a look at this first, so then other things get bumped. And sometimes that happens based on like, ooh, wait, what's happening over there? Or based on how much I'm asked by you guys. And I also put some of that stuff up in Patreon. I haven't done that in a while. I need to do that again in Patreon, going, hey, we've got all these things going on. What do you guys prioritize? Because again, yes, I make videos about things I'm fascinated about, but I also want to bring you guys the information you're looking for. And that's one of the ways I narrow it down. So let's go to COPO results, and then we've got to roll. So now we know what the request for deposition is dumb. I wonder if the request for deposition, me speculating, I just wonder if the request for deposition on Britney was so that there could be a TMZ article putting these vague allegations out there about her again to try to make her look unstable or what have you. I just wonder if that was the underlying goal, which seems gross, right? All right, let me find my Twitter. If you guys don't follow me on the Twitters, I am at the Emily D. Baker. You are welcome to follow me there. I am looking for COPO amidst the other things that I have filed. or filed, tweeted, other things I have tweeted. My one Wordle win, I've played Wordle once and I have not played since that day. I keep meaning to get back and do it. And I have not. And I have not. All right, let us get to the ruling from COPO, and then we will do a new COPO on our next Friday Night Live, which will probably not be next week because I won't be home yet, but we'll talk about that later. All right, looking at the votes on YouTube community tab first. 6,000 votes. I will do anything for love, but I won't do that. No, 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 I won't do anything for... You guys don't need me to sing Meatloaf. I'd do anything for love at 51%. Paradise by the Dashboard Light at 24%. 2 out of 3 ain't bad at 10%. Bad out of hell at 15%. And all of you hot patootie lovers being like, what the fuck, girl? Why didn't it make the list? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It got narrowed down on the Instagrams. And these were the top 4 that came out of the Instagrams. And that's how we narrowed them down. I wanted to be fair. I didn't just pick them all. I wanted to just be fair. So a lot of y'all had thoughts. So I'm sorry, hot patootie lovers. It can still be your favorite, but I saw the comments. Y'all aren't following the hot patootie lovers were not following me enough on Instagram to get it up there. So that is our favorite Meatloaf song. And again, this is just a sampling of the community. You can have a different favorite song. The COPO does not tell you you can't have a different favorite Meatloaf song, but Paradise by the Dashboard Light is my personal favorite Meatloaf song. My personal. It's such a good song. And Twins the New Trend did a live reacts to it. It tells such a story. It reminds me of college. Why we were obsessed with that song in college is because it was just cheeky and fun, and it was a moment. I just have so much love for it. But I Do Anything for Love had such a moment in the 90s in high school too. So I have lots of like personal memories tied up in these songs, and that's why. So that is why. And it was a bit closer on the Twitters with significantly less votes at 863 votes. I'd Do Anything for Love, Paradise by the Dashboard Light, then Bad Out of Hell, then 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So those are the results. And I said in my tweet, because I thought I was being funny, that I realized what love is, because I was saying I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. And I realized what that is. That is never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you, never gonna make you cry, never gonna say goodbye, never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. And that's what it is. That's what it is. And with that, Law Nerds, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a Law Nerd. Thank you for valuing the facts, not fuckery. Replay crew, I didn't say that I loved you at the beginning of the video, but I do love you. And that's part of why we put the timestamps, though inevitably on every single video, there's somebody being like, girl, you talk too much in your intro. And I'm like, I have timestamps. Did you need to leave? If you left a comment, couldn't you see the timestamps? Just go to the timestamps. Just go to the timestamps. And for all of you that made it to the end, you know that we've had like a Meatloaf Rickroll moment. My 13-year-old, by the way, knows every single line. Every single line to that song. And I love it. Wait a sec. Am I being Rickrolled by Twitter right now? Why is Rick Astley trending on Twitter? Wait. Am I being... Come on. What? Why? Wait a second. Why are we being Rickrolled on Twitter? Wait, Rick Astley's on Twitter? Okay. Sorry. Why? What's going on? Why is Rick Astley trending on Twitter? Why? I want to know. Okay. Well, every time I see someone I like trending on Twitter, I just want to make sure they haven't passed. Like I get scared every single time. What is going on? Guys, I screwed up big time. Rick Astley did not take his song down in protest of Joe Rogan. It was a rumor started by another person as a joke. I was not aware of this. If you go to Spotify now, his music's all there. Rick Astley did nothing at all. Please read. Did somebody start a rumor that Rick Astley pulled his music down off of Spotify? Because it sounds like maybe that's what's going on. Who is Rick Astley? Oh, friends. Oh, breaking. Rick Astley removing his one song. No, Rick Astley's never going to give you up. He's never going to let you down. We need Rick Astley now more than ever. We need Rick Astley now. Never going to give you up. Never going to let you down. So for those of you that made it all to the way to the end, you know that Rick Astley was trending on Twitter tonight, and that we had a Meatloaf Rick Roll moment, and it was delightful, and that Emily still does not sing. I appreciate you. I am so glad that you are a Law Nerd. Stay hydrated, mind your business. If you want to know what I'm up to for the next week, I will be posting on social. I will not be posting a ton early in the week, and I will be posting later in the week. So if you guys want to follow along on the Instagrams and stuff, that is where I keep you updated the fastest, Instagram and Twitter. You can always join the text crew. And with that, I have to say my 5th goodbye. Oh my God, it's been 3 hours. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry, mods. It was not supposed to be the longest stream in the world, and now it's been the longest stream in the world, and it is so time to go. Don't forget to do the YouTube things, and I will talk to you soon. Take care of yourselves. Bye, Law Nerds. Happy Friday. Connect with me everywhere. I'm at the Emily D. Baker. If you guys want to join the text, just text Emily.com. If you want to join the channel, LawNerdsUnite.com. Happy to have you. Support what we do here on the YouTube.